All right, welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 74. I'm honored to have Bob with me today, which I'll let Bob introduce himself here in a second, but I've known Bob for many years, and to be honest, I've tried to get him on this podcast for many years, and we finally locked him in. So very thankful to have him here today, but just a quick story. Bob has helped me so much throughout my life becoming an adult, let's just say, first-time home buyer. You know, Bob was my inspector, and I was looking at a couple houses. He inspected, I believe, 2 houses for me, but
Yep.
went to the first one. Bob thankfully let me follow him around, and he was giving me all his expertise on everything, and I learned so much just following him around, getting his knowledge, which I'm sure that inspection probably took longer than it was supposed to because I was asking him so many questions, but he was there to tell me all about the crawl space and the roof and the house and pointing things out that I had no idea about, and even helping me look into the future, like, hey, in 2 years you want to do this, in 2 years you want to do that, right? So then I didn't end up getting that house, and then I went to my next house, and Bob came out and inspected that house too. Same thing, you know, following him around, he's showing me all the intricate details of the house, pointing specific things out to me, trying to give me a heads up, like, hey, in 10 years you want to be thinking about this, in 5 years you want to be thinking about that. So Bob has an extreme wealth of knowledge, and super honored to have him here today, not just with home inspections and homes, but also pest control, because Bob has 2 businesses, at least. You might have more by now, but you have home inspections and pest control. And so he's worked with us on setting up a pest control plan for our property, and then I ended up altering that plan because I got chickens, and Bob's like, well, we got to alter the plan now because we got the chickens. So we had to alter the plan and get on the right track with that. But Bob is just an extreme wealth of knowledge. There's no way we're going to be able to tap into all his knowledge today in just this short conversation. So if you're in the area, Charleston, South Carolina, Summerville, South Carolina, what's your operational area? Is that basically it?
Go about an hour in each direction from Summerville.
Hour in each direction to Summerville. Hit up Bob for pest control and home inspections and anything else, or you can probably hit him up and ask for recommendations on certain things. But Bob, thanks for coming in today, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your businesses first.
Well, it's awesome to be here, man. Really beautiful.
We appreciate you,
property
bro.
you have out here. I mean, I knew it was beautiful when we came out and inspected it,
Yeah.
but you've really done a good job in creating a home out of it now.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so Bob Wiggins, affectionately referred to as Inspector Bob.
Yep.
And
Master Inspector.
I am now a certified Master Inspector. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And really what that means is that I've just done enough inspections and I've done enough education to be labeled as such officially.
Nice.
But own Carolina Premier Inspections. We're a full-service inspection company. We do commercial inspections, residential inspections, new construction inspections, and as you mentioned, pre-drywall inspections.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a crazy ride with that. You know, I've been doing inspections in South Carolina since 2015. I've done over 6,000 fee-paid inspections now.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
It's a lot of houses and it's a lot of crawl spaces. I realized when I moved out here, you know, they call it the low country. And I thought it was because, you know, it's flat and low and we're at sea level. No, it's because the crawl spaces are exceptionally low.
And there's some water in there sometimes.
The crawl spaces are low here. It is the low country because of the crawl spaces. Nobody will convince me otherwise.
There's probably some things you found in crawl spaces you didn't want to find.
Oh, yeah. and there's crawl spaces we charge extra for a crawl space, and I've come up to crawl spaces and I've looked at my client literally and said, "Can I pay you to not go in the crawl space?" But we do. It's not my favorite part of the inspection, but it's probably the most important part of the inspection. So, make sure to crawl every possible area that I can in the crawl space. And unfortunately, the crawl space is where good home inspections go to die sometimes. A lot of the problems are found in the crawl space. But
I've literally heard of other home inspectors saying, "Oh, I can't do the crawl space," and it was because they were overweight or just didn't want to go in there, so they came up with some kind of excuse, and then the homeowner got screwed later because they were like, "Okay, I guess we're good to go," and then 2 years later, home wreck.
Yeah, a disclaimer in the inspection report that says I was unable to access the crawl space. That is a disclaimer that you don't want to feel comfortable reading. And as a home inspector, it's a disclaimer I don't feel comfortable writing.
Right.
Yeah, you talk about being in shape. You can have the best, most knowledgeable inspector in the world. If he can't access an area, then he's useless, unfortunately. So, fitness does tie into home inspecting, certainly. You're a better inspector, the better shape that you're in.
Yeah.
But we do have the pest control division as well, Carolina Premier Pest Control. Pest control has been the family trade for 3 generations. A lot of people don't know that my grandfather owned a pest control company, my father owned a pest control company my whole life, and now I have a pest control company as well.
Yeah.
So we've got generations of family trade secrets that we use, and I've kind of combined that with the newer technologies that's come along, and we're kind of a hybrid of old school philosophies and techniques and new school technologies.
Yeah.
And we're full service. We do termite protection for eastern subterranean termites, for Formosan termites. We do household pest control. We do lawn, ornamental, and turf pest control. We offer mosquito mitigation. We also perform wildlife services, humane techniques to eliminate wildlife infestations in structures.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
A quick story on the pest control. I was over at my grandmother's house one day. I think I called you because she had I was just over there visiting, and she's like, I have these gnats everywhere. I was like, really? And I'm pretty sure I called you right then and there, and I said, hey, my grandmother has this gnat problem, and you said, look here, look there. I'm just on the phone with you, and I look, and there's like a bag, and there was like gnats completely in the bag, and you're like, that's the source, that's got to go. So I pulled that out of the house, and then you guys came by a couple of days later and got it squared away.
I think what we were dealing with there was Indian meal moths.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A common pantry pest. They get in bird seed and broken grain products and things like that.
Yeah.
And usually when you're seeing them in the home, there's a source. There's a breeding area.
Yeah.
Any pest infestation has to have certain requirements to be a pest infestation, and that is shelter, and it's a food source, and it's the right environment to develop through life cycles.
Yeah.
So she kind of checked all the boxes on that one, and was seeing the results from that. But
she got squared away with you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just the sweetest person too. She was really nice.
Yeah, good to go, man. So let's jump into home inspection topics, try and get some knowledge from you.
Okay, sure.
So people that are buying a home, right? The home inspection is or should always be a part of that home purchasing process. Why is that so important? And then should they be done routinely after someone buys a home? Like if you've had a home for 5 years, should you have another inspection done just to check things? Like, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea. People don't like the idea of paying for that home inspection to do like maintenance inspections, but if you don't have the knowledge and the ability to go around and shine a bright light into dark places, then it's not a bad idea to have somebody to do that periodically. I don't think that you have to do that on an annual basis, but if you're in a home and you're going to stay in that home for a while, every 5 years would not be a bad idea. Definitely.
That helps you with like longevity of the home. I'm thinking like just like maintaining a vehicle, you have to maintain your home, but it's more complicated.
That's right. Right. A good home inspector can go in and identify things that are in need of maintenance. And as you know, preventative maintenance really saves in repair costs down the road, sometimes expensive repair costs down the road. I mean, we maintain everything. Like you said, vehicles, we maintain ourselves, our dental. You got to go in and get those dental cleanings done. And when you're doing that, man, you're not having to drill your teeth and fill your teeth and all that stuff. So that gets expensive and painful. So do home repairs. Home repairs can get expensive and painful too.
So what are, like, when someone's buying a home, like what would you say the big ticket items are that you're looking at in a home inspection?
Well, I always you can always reduce it down to the big 5.
Okay.
All right. The big 5, these are your major components in the home. We're talking about the roof, the electrical system, the HVAC system, the plumbing system, and the structural components. Okay.
Okay.
And if you're focusing on those things, that's where your elephants are. I always say, as a home inspector, we're looking for elephants, not ants.
Yeah.
So everything else, we do report on a lot of other things outside of those, but that should be your main focus, because as a homeowner, those can be the big surprises that can jump up and bite you, and again, not fun paying for somebody else's, the previous owner's negligence and lack of maintenance.
Yeah. What would you say, like in the roof, like if someone's just looking at a roof, oh, it looks like it's good, but you're actually getting up there and you're checking in the attic too to look for any moisture.
Yeah.
What are some things you've seen in the past that might be common?
Well, I know when we're evaluating a roof, we want to get an idea of the age of the roof covering. Now, sometimes we have that information, we're provided that information by the seller. Sometimes the seller hasn't lived there long enough to even know how old the roof covering is. So it's always a good idea to get an inspector that's experienced enough to be able to give you an idea of how old that roof covering is. That way you know when you're going to be replacing it and how much that replacement's going to be. So we definitely evaluate the roof covering closely, looking for anything that could possibly cause leakage or any areas that are worn, any sealant or flashing. Because the flashed areas are typically where the homes are going to leak first, and that's where we see the biggest concern on most roofs is improper flashing. Improper flashing leads to moisture intrusion and leads to a lot of damage, and unfortunately a lot of flashing is not done properly. And then like you said, looking at the structure from inside the attic allows us to identify if there's any visible moisture intrusion. We can get up there with an infrared camera sometimes, especially after a good rain. It's a really good time to have a home inspection. I always say the best time to inspect the home is during a rain or right after a rain, because we can find some hidden moisture. But we will look for damage to the roof sheathing, or sometimes it's just staining. Love seeing the staining, because staining means that there's a leak, but it hasn't damaged the roof structure yet. You caught it early enough.
I gotcha. One question about roofing types. An asphalt roof, I think that's like the most common.
It is.
How long in general should that last if someone maintains it?
So you've got a 3-tab asphalt composition shingle, and the 3-tab shingle, they're kind of the flat shingles. So if you look at the roof and you see shingles and they're all just laying flat, that's a 3-tab, and typically you're going to get 15 to 20 years out of those, and 15 is pushing it, really. I mean, it's the cheapest type of roof covering. So you don't get too much out of that. Now, the other more popular really is the architectural asphalt composition shingle, and you can tell that because it's dimensional. So it doesn't all just lay flat. It looks like one's a little raised over the other, and
it looks like they're laying on top of each other.
It's got some dimension to it. Looks a little more stylish, and it has a better aesthetic appeal. But this is a thicker shingle tab, and it's typically going to last 25 to 30 years.
Oh, really? That's a big improvement.
It is a big improvement, and for not too much more, really. So architectural shingles really give you more bang for your buck when it comes to paying for a roof covering. And then you have a metal roof covering. Metal roof coverings are sweet. You can get 50 to 70 years out of those if properly maintained.
50 years. That's crazy.
That's right.
Any issues with like the metal roof when they like flash the corners and all that? I think that's what you call it, flashing the corners. I
mean, there are areas that they have to pay particular attention to. Flashing is always
in any roof.
Any roof flashing has to be done properly. And if it's not done properly, then chances are you're going to experience moisture intrusion at some point. Between that and proper fasteners and proper sealing of fasteners, with metal roofs, you want to make sure that they've got that there's a rubber seal that they use
with the screw that they put in
the
there.
Fastener, absolutely, and that's everything. So when we're inspecting those metal roofs, we're looking for corrosion, we're looking for signs of wear, we're looking for damage, we're looking for poor flashing, and then we're looking at all the fasteners. And sometimes fasteners are completely missing. They just miss fasteners.
Good Lord.
There's a little hole there where the fastener's supposed to be, but it's not there. So
overlook that one.
Those are pretty common finds on metal roofs.
What about the angle of the roof? Does that affect like the roof's longevity or not?
It does. It does, absolutely. The flatter the roof, the sooner you'll have to replace it.
Really?
So,
because the water doesn't move as quick
that's
off
right.
of it. Oh,
that's
my
right.
goodness.
Yeah, so a steeper pitch is going to preserve that roof longer than a flatter pitch would.
Yeah.
So, you take, for example, a 3-tab shingle. If we're talking anything that's like a 4 and 12 pitch, which, we're looking at like that.
Yeah.
You would expect to replace that at about 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, even 12 to 15 years, you start seeing signs that it's going to need to be replaced.
Yeah.
Now, if you put it on, say, a 9 and 12,
a little bit steeper.
then you're probably going to get closer to your 18 years out of it. Between 18 to 20 years. So it does make a difference. The pitch with the roof covering.
What about the folks that like pressure wash their roofs? Is that something that you like to see? Or
Never
no?
Pressure wash.
Never pressure wash.
Not under pressure.
Because you don't want to blast that asphalt.
Oh man, I'm telling you, shingles are bonded with an adhesive strip, and so they're nailed at the top, and then they have an adhesive strip at the bottom. So it's just a little bit of glue holding that.
So
and once you break that bond,
done.
It's like the bond of trust. once that bond is broken, it just doesn't come back easily.
Yeah.
And usually you have to replace the shingles.
Dang.
So if you have somebody up there that's using high pressure, first of all, don't allow it.
Yeah.
Anybody that is recommending a high pressure treatment on a roof covering does not know what they're doing. And it should be a soft wash.
Okay.
They have solutions that they just spray on under very low pressure, and the chemical does the work.
Okay.
Usually the only reason that you're doing that is to get rid of the staining on there. Glioxapsa magnum is a bacterial growth on shingles, and it's what turns it dark.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you'll get some sap that kind of resembles that, but you may have a roof that has no surrounding trees and you see all this black growth. A lot of people say algae and stuff like that. It's actually bacteria.
Really?
And there is soft wash products that you apply, and it literally just
cleans it
wipes
off.
it right out.
Yeah.
And then it's rinsed under low pressure.
Yeah.
And then you can safely clean your roof covering.
Yeah.
And restore it back.
Yeah.
This is great for people that are looking to sell their homes and want to improve the curb appeal.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, and same thing goes for the siding. Shouldn't be hitting your siding under high pressure either.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Soft wash the siding too.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Absolutely.
What about the new solar roofs? Have you had any experience with like the solar shingles? You know what I'm talking about?
Now are we talking solar systems, or are we talking about?
We got like solar panels that sit on top of the roof, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Then there's like new solar shingles that actually are the roof itself, I'm pretty sure.
We are not. I have not seen any of those right now. Now I inspect plenty of solar panels on roof coverings.
I can only imagine that's a headache of like, we got some holes that shouldn't be there or something.
Yeah, they have to be installed properly, and again, proper installation requires the proper fasteners and the proper sealants to be used. And as long as that's done, then that's fine. And the same thing goes for like satellite dishes and things like that. I mean, anytime you're penetrating the roof covering, the proper fasteners and sealants have to be used. And then wherever sealant is used, you have to remember that sealants need to be maintained. They don't last forever. So when they dry up, they shrink, they crack, and UV takes its toll, and they have to be reapplied.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I mean, the roof is just one of those things where critical,
Absolutely.
Because as soon as you have one little leak, man, it can cause major damage.
I always say once you get to that halfway to 2/3 of its expected service life, it's not a bad idea to have a roofer come out and do maintenance inspections on your roof covering every couple years.
Yeah.
He can check all the sealant, make sure that it's in good shape, and reapply it where it needs to be reapplied. You stay in front of the issues that cause those hidden leaks that you don't know about, because that's the thing about roof leaks. They have their effect over time, and usually it's not a major moisture intrusion where water's flooding in all the time. It's just small amounts over time. And that wood, it's covered. It soaks up the moisture. There's no sunlight hitting it. It's not well ventilated where it's at, so it stays wet for a while. So even the smallest amount of moisture is going to sit, and then over time decay. And then that's where the expense is. It's not very expensive to apply some sealant and have somebody come out and do maintenance inspections. It is expensive to rip up shingles and replace sections of roof sheathing and truss structural members or rafters and things like that.
That's going to be a headache right there.
Oh man, it is. It is, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why we offer a 5-year roof leak warranty with our home inspections.
Yeah.
If we look at the roof and we say, hey, it looks good, then we guarantee that it's going to be good for the next 5 years, and we provide our clients with protection beyond the transaction with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of on the reverse of that, we have a lot of homes these days going on slabs, but going back to the crawl space, I'm thinking the roof's on top of the house, the crawl space is underneath, and that seems to be a good area for moisture to get in, because moisture just seems to cause the most problems.
That's right. Oh yeah.
What are like major crawl space considerations, like when you're inspecting, like when you're looking at everything, like just common things that you're looking at?
I think regionally in this area, moisture intrusion is one of the biggest concerns.
Just into the crawl space or in the house in general?
Into the crawl space specifically.
Yeah.
Moisture can do so many different things. It can have an effect on the foundation. It can affect the soil that your foundation sits on, and it can cause vertical soil settlement. And then, that's when you have a foundation guy coming out quoting you thousands and thousands of dollars for repairs.
To lift that up or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Moisture can create conducive conditions for wood-destroying organisms, termites, powder post beetles. These are things that attack the wood, but even more destructive, I think, than termites and powder post beetles is wood-destroying fungus.
Oh.
Wood-destroying fungus is actually the cause of wood decay. So
Really?
anytime you see rotten wood, it's not necessarily the water that rotted the wood, because you can take a piece of wood and you can throw it out in the water, and it can sit in the water all day and it's not going to rot. Because it's just saturated and so wet. It's so wet that it's not allowing the wood destroying fungus to attack the wood.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So that wood's not going to rot sitting in the water saturated. It only rots whenever the wood moisture content gets above 28%, and then the wood destroying fungus gets in there and starts decaying the wood, and that's what causes wood rot. So wood destroying fungus is the number one damaging component for structural wood members in this area, and it comes from the wood moisture content being above 28%.
Wood moisture content over 28%. So
That's right.
what would how do you measure that? Like if you're a homeowner and like you've been in your home for like 5 years, is there a general way to like measure?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot. They have moisture meters with 2 little pins on it. I think you can pay like $30 or $40 for one. It's a great tool to have, and the best time to do it is in the summer when you're running your HVAC and it's the most humid. That's when your highest readings are going to be. So if you want to find out what your highest readings are, get in there in July and August and start sticking those pins in floor joists and floor sheathing and see what those numbers are. And if you see areas where you've got some stuff growing on the wood, then those are good areas to test to see how high that's getting. Now, you can have growth on that wood around 20%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and these are just your normal molds and mildews and things like that.
That's a telltale sign, though. You probably want to change something.
Well,
I feel like,
anytime you're over 20%, it's too wet. Because you can have those growths, and it can also come up on like a CL 100 report. If you're selling your house and your wood moisture content is above 20%, it's not going to allow you to pass a CL 100 report, and a lot of people need a clear CL 100 to get financing for the home, so it can be a problem. A good place to be is below 20% at all times throughout the year.
And just overall humidity levels in a crawl space, like in general, what do you like to see those at for ideal conditions?
Ideal conditions? Ideal conditions are going to be the same, around the same humidity levels inside the home. We're not always going to achieve that. Sometimes you're going to need help achieving that. That's where dehumidification comes in. You can get a rated dehumidifier in a crawl space that helps out a lot with that. But you can get a really good idea if you need that just by inspecting the crawl space and seeing if you have those growths going on. Now here, you won't find a crawl space hardly that doesn't have a little bit of microbial growth on it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that you got to have some type of knee-jerk reaction and think that your house is going to be filled with mold spores if you see it.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have a dehumidification system, but it is an indication that at some times during the season that you're getting above 20% at least.
Okay.
So, something to monitor. I'm a big fan of monitoring moisture throughout the year. I usually don't even recommend any kind of trim technique or any solutions until you've had a chance to monitor over time to see how long it stays wet. It may get above 20%, but it may only be for a month out of the year.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to make a corrective recommendation if that's the case.
Yeah.
But now there are homes that have their HVAC ducts underneath the house and they're sweating and condensing from March all the way until October.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are going to have problems. You're going to see it, and it's going to come up on a moisture meter, and those are ideal candidates for dehumidification.
I gotcha. Now, with that being said, let's say someone, they have maybe a little bit of moisture down there. It's nothing crazy, but they're like, hey, I want to make sure this house is good to go. Would you recommend like full encapsulation and dehumidification, or does it depend on the actual situation? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's all situational. It really is. An experienced inspector should be able to go in and identify the cause of the moisture.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And now you have relative humidity, and we know that's what's happening in the air.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you also have other types of moisture intrusion into the crawl space. You have water that is either going to come in at the foundation, or you also have water that's going to rise from the water table.
Like in a heavy rain or something?
Water gets into crawl space two ways, from entrainment, from the outside.
Yep.
So like you've got water built up around the foundation and it's finding its way through your foundation and into the crawl space. Yeah. So say you have an improper grade slope around your home. So the soil doesn't slope away from the house, it slopes towards the house. So you've got all this water pouring off of your roof, and then it's hitting the ground and it's going right back into the crawl space. Those are probably the worst case scenarios that we see.
Yeah. And it gets under there. There's no sun, so it's just kind of sitting, and sometimes
it
maybe
can sit there
the
for
ground
days,
takes it.
And sometimes weeks. It depends. So in those situations, you have to improve drainage. The first thing I usually recommend when I see something like that is get some gutters on the house. Getting the number one reason that water gets into crawl spaces is the roof watershed.
Okay.
Because that roof catches a lot of water, and then you've got these valleys, and all the water goes to the valley, and then it just pours right down next to the house, and then it can go right into the crawl space. So if you've got a good roof drainage system in the form of gutters and downspouts, you can divert that water away from the home. That makes a big, big difference. Sometimes that's your most cost-effective way to eliminate moisture intrusion into the crawl space. So that's probably the number one thing that I usually recommend.
Okay.
The other thing would be things like improved drainage. I know you are you made yourself an expert on this, man. I mean, this place
Eric was excited with my French drains.
This place was a pond, all right? And I think that in the name of this is
Taylor Pond Road.
Road. No, this was
legit a pond, man. We're out in the middle of the swamp, basically, you know?
Yeah, so I know that you did a lot of drainage work, and if properly done, how successful that can be.
It's
I mean, you really dried it up, and you made our mosquito work a lot easier. I didn't.
The first time you ever came out,
I spent a fortune in larvicide. I mean, I walked away and I was like, man, I
undercharged him.
I am now paying him.
Now, I remember whenever I was digging the trenches, Eric was coming out, who's, for the listener, Eric's Bob's brother and his pest control, one of his pest control
his
guys.
Service manager.
But he came out, and he's like, "Man, what are you doing out here, Chad?" I was like, "I'm doing some French drains." He's like, "Oh, that's freaking cool." And I guess you guys had done some French drains in the past, and so we were talking about it. And then several months later, probably a year later, was when I actually finished them. He's like, "Hey, you're taking forever to get these things done." But when they were finally done, he was like, "This thing's so dry out here, man. It's so nice."
Yeah, it's not the easiest work by no means, but when it's done right, it is a very effective solution. So you can apply those same techniques that you did around the home to divert water entrainment from the outside that way. But now, when you're close to the water table like we are in so many areas, you get a lot of rain, that water table rises, then your water's coming from the water table underground, and there's no amount of drainage, there's no gutters that are going to stop that from happening.
Right.
That's when you have to usually install a sump
pump it out.
Pit, a sump pump inside that pit, a basin, and then some drainage inside the crawl space. Now, the mistake a lot of homeowners make is they think, well, this is the lowest part of the crawl space, I'm just going to dig a pit, I'm going to put a basin in and a pump, and then I'm going to pump water out, and they're pumping water out, and they're like, okay, it's doing its job. Only thing is it's not communicating to the other side. So you've got water that's standing over there, the pump is going, and it's getting water out over on this side, but you still have water standing on the other side. So you need to have
you got to grade it.
A drainage system.
Okay, a full system.
Same thing what you did, just on a smaller level, smaller pipes. You dig your trenches, you slope the trenches towards your pit, and I prefer to see what we call spider drainage. So you have a perimeter drain, but then you also have crisscrossing pattern in the middle. That way you're collecting throughout the crawl space. Really, really effective means of keeping standing water out of the crawl space when you are experiencing those water table intrusions.
So if you're like really close to the water table and you're seeing it all the time, that's when you're like, I probably need a sump system.
Absolutely. Average sump system probably going to be about $5,000-$6,000. But as a homeowner, it's well worth the investment. It's better to spend that money than to pay your foundation guy, $15,000-$20,000.
Well, then I'm thinking even if you pay the foundation guy $20 grand, $15,000 to fix whatever, but you don't fix the water problem, you're just talking about a reoccurring expense every so often. Another $15 grand here, another $15 grand there.
It doesn't make sense,
right?
Eliminate the cause. That would be like repairing termite damage and not getting rid of the termites. Same thing.
Well, it's interesting to hear you talk about termites and the what is it called, the beetles?
Powder post beetles.
Powder post beetles.
Yes.
Versus the fungi that affects the crawl space. So what's the difference between the termite and the powder post beetle?
Well, they're all wood-destroying organisms. Okay, wood-destroying fungi, subterranean termites, and powder post beetles are all wood-destroying organisms. The difference between powder post beetles and termites, are feeding on the wood. Okay, they're attacking the wood to get the cellulose. Cellulose is what they pull out of the wood for nutrients. And they come out of the ground. They live in the ground. They come out of the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they get a gut full of cellulose, and then they go back down, and it's just an assembly line going up and down into the house. Because they can't live above ground. They need the moisture of the soil.
Really?
Or they die. Yeah, if you hold termites in your hand, out exposed to the air and the sunlight, they'll be dead in about 15 minutes.
What?
They're soft bodied,
they
dry out.
I did not know that.
So when they come out of the ground, they create a shelter tube. And they build it out of soil, fecal matter, and saliva. Essentially. So
their own saliva, or they grab
theirs.
something? Theirs.
Yeah, and so it's a really firm structure. Okay, it's not like just taking soil and putting it up there. I mean, it's hard. It's almost like a mortar, a mud mortar that they
crazy,
did.
Bro.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they'll travel inside these tunnels, and that allows them to come out of the ground and feed and come back into the ground without getting dried out. And it also protects them from predators.
That's crazy.
Biology and behavior of termites is awesome. All right. Yeah. So that's how they operate. Powder post beetles are different. They feed on cellulose during their larval period, and that's the only time that they really affect the wood. So you've got a beetle that comes, they lay the egg, the egg will hatch out, the larva will burrow into the wood, and then it'll do its work in the wood, and then they go through a metamorphosis from larva, pupa, adult, and then the adult will emerge from the wood, and when they emerge from the wood, they create holes, these emergent holes. And so anytime you see wood that looks like it's been shot with a little shotgun, little tiny holes in it, those are powder post beetles. You can tell if they're active because they're all, the larvae are always kicking out this sawdust, but it's really, really fine sawdust. So it's like a powder. And that's how they get the name powder post beetle.
That is crazy.
Now powder post beetles, they don't do damage quickly. This is damage that's done over time. Usually the worst cases we see have had powder post beetles for 40 or 50 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they're not like termites. They're not as destructive as termites. Certainly not as destructive as wood-destroying organism like wood-destroying fungi.
Right.
So yeah, and it's something that can be prevented because they prefer that wood to be higher than 15% in wood moisture content.
Oh, okay.
So it goes back to wood moisture content.
Yeah.
High wood moisture content is conducive to wood-destroying organism infestation. And then you've got Formosan termites. Formosan termites are in our area. They are an imported species. They are not domestic
so
to
they got
the
here
United
somehow.
States. Well, we brought them in on railroad ties from Hawaii back in the 1940s.
Good Lord.
They brought them into the Louisiana ports. And since then, they've moved into 11 southeastern states, and we are one of them. They are the most destructive species in the world.
Really?
Formosan, a comparison, like our eastern subterranean termites, they can grow a colony up to about 250,000 in number, and they'll eat about 7 pounds of wood a year, a mature colony.
Yeah.
Formosan termite colonies can grow up to 10 million in number.
What the
And
heck?
they can consume 1,000 pounds of wood in 1 year.
Oh my gosh, 1,000 pounds, dude.
The most destructive species on the planet, and they are here.
Holy smokes. They live underground too? Same kind of process?
They live underground. They are subterranean, but they have a unique feature that's separate from our eastern subterranean termites.
Yeah.
They can create an aerial infestation, which means that they can live above ground. All they need is a source of moisture. So if you have a roof leak, if you have a plumbing leak, if you have moisture intrusion through your siding, and there's some wet wood, they find that wet wood, then they say, okay, they start constructing what's known as a carton nest.
Good night.
And they build this carton nest, very similar to the shelter tube material.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, shelter tube material, but they build this carton nest.
Yeah.
And then they live inside that nest and just feed on the house right there. There's no more going up and down into the ground.
Okay.
They live in that carton nest. And the bad thing about an aerial infestation is the treatment that you do for subterranean termites has no effect on them.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're not going back into the ground.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so they will survive a subterranean termite pest control treatment and subterranean termite pest control protection.
Once they eat all that wood where that nest is, do they make a new nest elsewhere?
Well, they just continue to branch out.
They just branch out.
They just
They
continue to branch out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we typically see is just, ground zero is just destroyed, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse over time as they go away from it. Yeah.
What are telltale signs of, like, when you're inspecting, if they're up in a wall? Are you like looking? I don't know how you could find. How do you see that?
That's the bad thing.
Oh gosh.
You can't find them. Now I've found them with infrared cameras. Sometimes they'll put off a signature that you can see through infrared. So infrared is an advantage, but and it comes in handy having some infrared. Yeah. But it may take some time before you can even to recognize that. Yeah. Aerial infestations. You'll see that termite companies they'll have an exclusion on their termite bond that they don't cover aerial infestations. Really? Yeah.
So I guess the best way is like establish a routine termite treatment, and then that would prevent them from getting there in the first place, correct?
Household maintenance, making sure you don't have leaks is the number one thing.
Yeah.
They can't survive above the ground without that moisture. So as long as you're maintaining your home and you don't have these leaks going on, they're not going to have a place to set up an aerial infestation.
I got you.
And then also having a good subterranean termite protection before they move in is good, because you can get them in the ground before they move up and make an aerial infestation.
Exactly.
So household maintenance and a good subterranean termite protection usually does the trick. Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like the number one killer of a house and a homeowner, because it's going to be expensive to fix, is moisture overall.
It is. It's the number one enemy of the home.
Yeah.
100%. There's no bigger damaging issue than moisture intrusion.
Yeah. Jumping over to HVAC systems real quick.
Yeah.
What are common issues that you see with those when you're inspecting them, or like most common stuff?
So there's a lot with HVAC systems. First we go in, we want to see how old they are, when you can expect to replace it. So typically between 10 and 12 years is what
Okay.
you're going to get out of most HVAC units, and that's the outdoor compressor, and that's the indoor air handler and evaporator coils, both. So anything that's upwards around that 10 to 15 years, we're going to call that out as something that's approaching the end of its service life, and the homeowner needs to be prepared to replace those units in the near future. A lot of times with older components like that, it's a good idea to maybe have the seller set you up with a home warranty or something like that would help you if something goes wrong there. But things that we are looking at is the operation. We'll test the temperatures. We're looking for a delta T, the difference, the temperature difference between the return air and the supply air. We want that to be at least 14 degrees, and if it's not more than 14 degree difference between your return air and your supply air, then that's a good indication that something's not working right, and that the unit should be looked at. So we focus a lot on that temperature. We also want to make sure that you're getting good airflow. And we're going to look at the system design. Now, on pre-drywall is a real good time to look at the system design because you can see the whole supply system, and you can see if there's any bellies or if there's any unwanted turns and curves, because every bend in the ductwork creates friction loss. So every bend is going to keep that air from making its way to the vent. Slows it down. And anytime that airflow slows down, it's going to heat up, and so it's going to be less efficient. So we're looking for ducts to be completely stretched out as much as possible without as many bends as possible.
So like crawl space homes usually have the duct underground or in the crawl space.
A lot of them do.
The slab homes, is it in the attic?
It's in the attic.
It's in the attic. It comes down the wall typically.
They do, or just through the ceiling.
Out the ceiling.
Through the ceiling. Sometimes they'll have runs inside the walls with returns and things like that going back up to the air handler. Because you've got to have air coming out of the system, and then you got to have air returning back to the system. So that's another thing. We always check to make sure that the return air is sufficient to move it through the home, because I've seen plenty of homes that have an adequately sized unit, but they're like, it stays hot in here, and they've got two vents blowing cold air, but it just stays hot. It's because that air is just staying trapped and it's not cycling back through. So a lot of times you have to install another return vent, and that's all it takes, man. And all of a sudden that room is as cool as a fan.
What's the, you said about 10 to 12 years for an HVAC system and on average?
On average. And now I inspect homes all the time where the unit is upwards around 20 years. Maybe they've replaced some components along the way and they've limped this thing along, and that's fine. It happens. But on average, 10 to 12 years is that typical of average expected life.
Let's say you got to replace that puppy. Is that like you're replacing the ductwork too in general, or is it
not
just
necessarily? Usually you can replace the unit without replacing the ductwork, maybe once. I think after that it's a good idea to replace the ductwork, just because after 20 years the HVAC units become way more efficient. And
because technology, is that what you're saying?
They just keep improving the efficiency, and then you've got ducts that are not as efficient. So you may have an efficient unit and you have inefficient ducts. And after about 20 years, those ducts need to be replaced.
I got you. Good to go.
They get pretty cruddy, pretty yucky too.
Any major plumbing things you find, like for the homeowner when they're thinking about their plumbing system?
We're always looking for pressure. Water pressure is big. I know a lot of homeowners want that good water pressure. You want enough water pressure to come through your shower heads. You want enough water pressure to wash your dishes. So we always check that to make sure that the pressures are adequate and not too much. Average home, you want to be between 40 psi and 80 psi. Anything below 40 psi is not enough. Anything above 80 psi is too much and could damage your plumbing. Your pipes and your fixtures and things like that. So it's important to know the pressures there. And we're looking for leaks, obviously, moisture. being
back to the moisture.
number one enemy of the home.
Yeah.
And plumbing is piping a lot of moisture into the home and out of the home.
Does it sweat too, I'm imagining, like the PVC? Will that sweat?
It can. Typically, you want it insulated in areas where it needs to be insulated, but pressurized lines, you want them insulated in your attic. After a bomb cyclone, a lot of people learned that their plumbing lines needed to be insulated in their attic, and so things need to be insulated properly. They need to be installed properly. We're looking at the fittings, we're looking at the pipes, we're looking for any sign of leaks. We're looking at plumbing that may be aged, copper plumbing lines. Typically, you're going to get 50 to 70 years out of copper lines, but sometimes conditions will reduce that, and you start getting pinholes in copper. And the thing about copper that starts getting pinholes in it, we make a recommendation to replace it, because you start chasing these pinholes. You repair one, and another one pops up. You repair one, and another one pops up.
Is it just wearing down? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. It's just eating through, and nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
And copper is a really good product, but we make recommendations when we feel like the plumbing supply lines in the home are approaching the end. We want to let our clients know that, because it is an expensive replacement for branch plumbing lines, and that's something you want to know before you purchase a home.
Yeah. I remember the homes you inspected for me, you had all faucets, all bathtubs, everything running. You had everything on. You're walking around everywhere. You're like, if something's going on here, I'm finding it, you know? So,
100%. I mean, you can't just turn on a sink, check underneath it, see if it's leaking. We want to put things to the test.
Yeah.
So whenever I enter a home, I turn on every electrical component, and I keep them on.
Yeah.
We run the water for a substantial period of time. We're going to do multiple toilet flushes. We want to, if there's blockage in that drain line, sometimes it takes a little while for that blockage to fill up the line and back up into the home.
Okay.
You may have a blockage 200 feet down, and so you got to fill that pipe up. So and then you want to give everything kind of a stress test.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that you can look for those leaks. Sometimes under a sink won't leak when the water's just flowing, but when you fill the sink up, then you open it up and you let all that go, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a leak.
Yeah.
So it's more to it than just running water and looking. You know, you want to put things to the test as much as possible. Yeah. And see if anything fails under testing.
Yeah. Good to go. PVC. You talked about copper, but is there things about PVC, like how they have this PVC cement? Does that wear down over time, just like any adhesive, or is it pretty good? It's
usually pretty good, because it unless it's out just exposed to UV, it's probably going to be pretty good for the duration. Now keep in mind your PVC lines, they are not under pressure. Your PVC lines are drainage. So they're just passively flowing. So what we're looking for on PVC is to make sure that it's sloped properly. If it's not properly sloped, you're going to have solids that are going to kind of just hang out,
The solids will be having a good time.
Yeah, you want those solids to move on downstream, Yeah. So it definitely needs to be properly sloped.
Yeah.
We don't want too much of a slope, but at the same time, we don't want, you want about a foot drop every 10 foot. Is a good rule of thumb. But you can visibly just look at it and you'll see, it's going downhill. And anywhere that it's not, then we're going to call that out. But it does leak at the joints. And so we're always looking for those leaks, because that's not a great leak to have. It is going to create unsanitary conditions in your crawl space. And
especially if it's a toilet drainage.
You
might have a little solid in there. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, man.
Someone will like that. Some kind of bug will like that, or fungus or something.
Something always likes that. Yes, and it's never good. Never good. So, it's a crappy situation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, funny story. I was listening to someone. They were telling a story about their plumbing, and I guess a tree root had gotten into their plumbing, because you know how the roots will find water.
That's right.
And it went all the way up and grew into their toilet and was growing into their house. Tree root.
Nothing like that, man.
Have you seen anything like that before?
I have seen that before.
Really?
Yeah. Nothing like a little tickle in the morning, you know, to get your attention. Wake you up one day, man.
So the root just finds like a crack, and they're just
like, is that biological or is that alien?
A little bit of both.
Yeah. And some of these growths that come through there, they do look rather alien.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is a real thing. And root intrusion to the drain waste line or the sewer line, the main sewer line, it's a big concern. When we're looking at the property, when we're seeing a lot of tree roots in between, we're going to make a recommendation to have that line scoped. That would be like having a plumber. I usually recommend a plumber come out. I have a scope camera, and I started doing it, and I found out really quick that I don't like doing it because your scope camera gets pretty nasty, and it's not a really great time at all. And so I quickly learned that I'm going to go ahead and just recommend a plumber. And besides, home inspectors, we're generalists.
Yeah.
We know we have a good amount of information about all the systems and components of the home, and we have to. But when it comes down to it and we see something, we're going to flag it, and then we're going to tell the homeowner, hey, let's get a licensed contractor in this specific field to come out and evaluate it and then make their recommendation for repairs. Because we're not plumbers. We don't do the work. We're not going to be able to necessarily price it out accurately for them. And then getting a plumber to scope the line, they do it all the time. I think that they're better suited to give an evaluation on that.
They're used to the solids in the lines too. They work with it every day.
That's right. It's part of the job description. He gets up in the morning knowing he's got to deal with that.
Well, one thing I was learning when I was doing my French drains is if you don't get that slope right, the roots will find the drains. It'll clog up your French drain. So I was very particular, I'm like very particular about that stuff, but like making sure that slope was perfect so that no water be staying there.
That is exactly right.
So if you're trying to do them yourself, you got to watch out for that.
Any passive draining system has to be sloped properly, just like the gutters too. Gutters that aren't sloped properly, they're going to hold water. And they become a big breeding ground for mosquitoes. So
that'll be a good time.
Absolutely.
Where are these mosquitoes coming from?
People are on their back deck, no water on site, and they're just getting tore up by mosquitoes.
Because the gutter
Look up there.
Oh my
gosh.
It's
sloped this way instead of this way. You got water sitting there for a few days after every rain. And people that don't clean their gutters too. It can be sloped properly, but if it's full of crud, it's holding water.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to go. I mean, so then the other big item would be the electrical system. So with the electrical system, what are common things you see there?
Starting at the panel, we pull the panel, we're looking at the breakers, and we're looking at the wiring, and we're making sure that the proper circuit breakers are protecting the right size of wire. So a lot of times we'll see that they don't have the right size breaker for the right size of wire. So we're always looking for oversized and undersized breakers for the wire, the circuitry. We're looking, a lot of times the panel's not properly bonded or properly configured. There's a very specific way that things have to be put together, and the main thing is if there is a ground fault, or if there's an arc, or if there's any surge, the electric has to get to the ground. And it's going to take the path of least resistance. And if it's not properly bonded and grounded in certain areas, then there may be more than one path. And that confuses the electricity. And then that's when problems can really happen, electrical fires, shock hazards, and things like that. So we want to make sure that the electricity has the right path to the ground for safety and to preserve household appliances and things like that. And then we go through, we flip all the switches. We actually test all the receptacles, and we test the voltage at those receptacles to make sure that you got good electrical continuity through the house. Again, we load up the electrical system. We take the infrared camera out, and we look for any hot spots, any areas that might be experiencing an electrical issue. It's going to heat up. You've got that resistance going on with the electrical, and
that's
it
a potential for a
shows
fire.
Up. We're looking for a hot spot, fire hazard, absolutely. And then we're looking to make sure that the home has adequate protection with regard to arc fault circuit interrupters and ground fault circuit interrupters. These are things that are modern safety, fire safety additions that code has built in. Arc fault circuit interrupters have reduced electrical home fires by 80%.
Oh, wow.
So having AFCIs and GFCIs properly placed in the home is a huge benefit. So if you have an older home, it's a good idea to upgrade. And it's real easy to do that. You can do it in the electric panel. Electric panel, you don't have to have the plugs that have the little buttons on them. You can do it that way, or you can go into the electrical panel and replace your breakers with AFCI and GFCI breakers. And then your whole circuit is protected. So if there's an arc fault anywhere in your bedroom circuits,
it just flips that. Shuts it off.
Saves you. It saved a lot of lives, man. I can tell you that, and a lot of property.
Now, when that happens, you know how people like go to their circuit breaker, just flip it back, and they'll walk back, and it'll happen again, and they're like, "Come on now," you know, like what's generally going on there?
Call an electrician. Call an electrician.
Something wrong with the electrical system.
There's a repeated arc fault happening, or you may be overloading the circuit, and then that could be causing an issue too. Now, if you're overloading the circuit, maybe something that you're doing, you may need to move something. You've got too many things plugged into one circuit. You may need to move that to another circuit. So something's definitely going on. Don't ignore that ever. I mean, that's a life safety issue right there. And now it's protecting you by tripping, and it gets annoying. But there's got to be a reason, and you want to determine what that reason is.
Exactly. I'm just thinking, like, you know I was younger before. I had to rental home, and that's happening. I'm like, come on, man, stay. And like nowadays, I'm like, dude, if that was happening, that's a red flag. You know, overloading something, or there's an electrical problem.
These AFCIs and GFCIs, they do go bad too, and so you may have just a failing device that needs to be replaced. And you need to test those. You need to hit the trip button and test them once a month.
Once a month.
Absolutely, once a month. And you know, if you hit the button and it doesn't trip, you don't have the protection that you need, and you need to replace it. And now sometimes you'll go through and you'll hit it, and there'll be a poof, and like a spark flash, maybe a little bit of smoke. And I'll tell you this, as a home inspector, it's the modern day version of the Jack in the Box. You remember, I don't know if you're a kid, the Jack in the Box, you know it's coming, you know it's coming, and then when it pops out, it still scares you. Same thing, I'll hit these things and I'm like, you know, maybe 1 out of every 100 I do, I'm like, I'm due for one of these. And every time it pops, I'm like, pop, you know, jump back. It's funny. It's an ongoing joke in the home inspector world community.
Good one. Good to go, man. What other electrical things? That's like the main electrical stuff.
You know, wiring, overcurrent protection. That's the number one thing. Just to make sure that everything is configured properly, wired properly.
Electrical scares me, man. You know how people DIY stuff? I ain't doing DIY.
I don't recommend it, man. In fact, those are the you can always tell when hairy homeowner gets involved. Things aren't done right, and that's when the home inspection report starts to get longer and longer and longer.
The seller's like, I did this, I did that, I did this upgrade, that upgrade. I built this whole room right here.
No. That's when you look at your watch and you're like, call the next appointment. We're gonna be late.
Absolutely. Before we jump to pre-drywall inspection, do you want to talk real quick about those with wells and septic tanks? Are there special considerations for those?
Always get a water test. You want to test for bacterias and things like that in the well before you purchase. There are well specialists that will come out and do a more in-depth inspection of it. I usually recommend that because as a home inspector, again, we're generalists. I'm going to look at the equipment. We're going to see if there's any unsafe issues. We're going to evaluate it under operation. We're going to check the pressure gauges. We're going to look at the pressure tanks and the pump system and just see if there's anything physically, visibly wrong with it. But a well specialist can get much more detailed than that. But I do recommend getting the water test on that. Of course, we're going to run the water. Hydrogen sulfide is a thing. That's that rotten egg smell that a lot of wells have. And then you may require some extra type of filtration to eliminate that from the well, and that can be an expense that can be unexpected for some. So, we always want to identify that during a home inspection. As far as septic goes, get a pro. Get a pro to come out, have them open up that septic tank. See what's going on, make sure everything's okay, because again, that's something that I won't do. Yeah. All right. I can find solids, it, I can open solids. It, but man, other than that, I say get a septic company to come out, see how full that thing is, see if you're going to need to get it cleaned out, because that's one thing you don't want is you don't want a full septic or something that's just clogged up and backed up, because that's going to be an expense, another unexpected expense. These are things that you can do just to protect yourself and make sure that you're not walking into any surprises. Yeah. Now, a septic tank feeds to a septic field, if I'm not mistaken, so it's slowly moving things out. Got a leach field, and right. that's why the ground has to be tested before, if you're buying raw land, or if you're installing a septic system, you got to test the ground. You got to make sure that it's going to perk. And if not, then you may be looking at an engineered septic system. And if you've got an engineered septic system, I mean, you're scratching a check for 20-25 grand. So no biggie. Oh yeah, honey, check the cracks of the couch, see if we've got that there.
But then the septic tank, like, even if you have a leach field and it's pumping stuff out, you still need it pumped every so often, right? That depends on the tank size and all that.
Now you want to minimize what you're putting in there, and you want to make sure that what is put in there can be reduced naturally. Maintenance with the microbial products, like a Rid-X or something like that. Getting that in there is going to help keep your solids chomped down. But if you're putting paper towels and stuff down there, that's not going anywhere. That's just going to sit in there and fill things up. And then you're going to be cleaning it out more frequently.
Good to go. Hot water heater?
The hot water heater. Now, most of the time we refer to it as a water heater, okay?
Because it's not a cold water cooler.
No, it's funny because there's a meme out there that's passed around the home inspection circles, and it shows a water heater, and it's just a water heater. And then it says hot water heater, and it's a water heater in a bikini.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that. But your water heater, typically around $1,000, $1,500 to replace. You're going to get, again, 10 to 15 years out of a water heater. You're looking for typically leaks around the plumbing there. You want to make sure that it's got a pressure tank on it. You want to make sure that it's got seismic straps on it. You want to make sure that your TPR, so the temperature pressure relief, is properly routed, because if that thing gets superheated and pressurized, it's got a pop-off valve so that it goes out there. They came up with these back when water heaters were becoming missiles.
Oh gosh.
These water heaters didn't have any type of pressure relief, and it would build up and then just blow out at the bottom, shoot through the roof.
Good Lord, dude. I mean, could you imagine, bro?
Oh, I can only imagine. I've never seen it, but my goodness. Would that be an event, unbelievable. So, the TPR valve, we don't test them, just because a lot of times on older units, when you test it, and it doesn't stop leaking. So one thing about a home inspector is everybody looks to you to give them all of the information, but they also look to you when something goes wrong.
Exactly.
They're like, hey, you did this. You need to pay for this. So there are some things that we don't do. Like if the gas is off, we don't go igniting pilot lights. It's just a safety thing. We're going to make sure that the homeowner or gas company comes out and they ignite the appliances. So that's one thing to consider when you're having a home inspection. Make sure all the utilities are on.
Make sure it's prepped for the inspection.
Yeah, make sure that the inspector can get in the crawl space. Make sure he has access to your water heater. Make sure he has access to your electric panel, because make sure he has access to the attic. If any of these areas are obstructed and we're not able to get there, the buyer's still going to want to have that inspected. But it's going to require a separate trip. And separate trips aren't free.
Cost money. Exactly. Time is money.
A lot of times you, as the seller, are going to be responsible to pay that because you didn't have your home prepared properly.
Yeah, good to go.
Yeah.
Now they have the tankless water heaters.
Yep.
Tankless hot water heaters, right? What's the differences there?
Well, the tankless.
Well, the tankless just runs the water through and it's heating it up.
It heats it as it runs through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coil action going on there, kind of like our colon, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot packed in there, and as it's passing through, it's getting heated. These are really great products. I mean, especially for people that like to take long hot showers, you know.
Continuous hot water.
The hot water never ends, man. Nonstop party. I love
Those are
them.
usually mounted outside, right?
They are. Some of them are mounted inside, and there's no problem with that as long as the exhaust, if it's a gas-fired unit, the exhaust has to go to the outside.
Yeah.
Units that are on the inside tend to hold up a little bit better and longer. They're not exposed to the elements, but they can be mounted outside. They do have gas-fired units, and they also have electric units as well.
Yeah.
And
those electric units are going to ramp up your electricity, though.
They will.
Depending on how much heat you're using.
Absolutely. And they have to be sized properly. I've seen some electric units be installed in a home. They're not sized properly, and they only will heat one sink or bathtub at a time.
Dang.
So if you've got somebody taking a shower and somebody using the sink, one person's going to get all the hot water, the other person's going to be SOL, you know.
Person in the shower is going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate way to start somebody's day off right, you know, just turn on the hot water. It's kind of like back whenever you used to flush a toilet and the hot water goes away on somebody, it turns cold,
Well, quick story, when I was in the Navy talking about flushing toilets, you know, we're on a ship. Ben knows this story. All the and the what we call the head on the ship, you know, where all the bathrooms are.
Yeah.
Toilet, right? You're sitting on a toilet. The way the plumbing's designed, it's not like a house. So if someone flushes, there's like some back pressure.
Yes.
So of course the solids kind of launch a little bit.
Oh,
you know
boy.
what I'm saying? So I built muscle memory of like if someone next to me flushed a toilet, I was jumping up to avoid getting smashed in the rear, you know what I'm saying? I have that muscle memory to this day. Literally, I'll be like in a public bathroom somewhere, someone flushes, I'm standing up. You know?
Right, yeah.
Ben makes fun of me all the time for it, but
hey, man, that is a habit developed over time, and
well, you learn the hard way sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You get smashed in the rear a couple of times.
You paid a tuition for that.
But I was talking to someone about hot water heaters. Water heaters, right?
Water heaters.
And because I was trying to figure out, like, hey, is a tankless better than a tank? And obviously it depends on the setup, because sometimes you just need a bigger tank, because like the tankless one will pull more electricity, so it'll cost you more in the long run.
Yeah.
Or if you have gas, I think it's more cost effective.
I think so.
But I do know some people that, like, during the recent freeze temperatures, they had their their water heaters outside.
Yeah.
The tankless ones, and then the pipe busted on it. You know, because the froze and it wasn't ready for that. So then they're without hot water for days.
That's right. I saw a lot of videos on Facebook of people with hair dryers thawing them out. Yeah, man.
I need that hot water.
Telling you.
Wouldn't you just insulate the pipe?
Well, even during those temperatures that we had, the insulation wasn't enough.
Oh, really?
The cold weather got through the insulation, because we had extended periods of time where we were below freezing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like 15,
we got
10
down
degrees.
into the teens. Yeah. And we don't see those temperatures very often, so we are woefully unprepared for events like that here in the Low Country. Yeah.
So if your water heater tankless is inside, you're probably good to go from that. But if it's outside, that's something you got to think about. Yeah.
Even ones that are mounted up in attic spaces experienced freezing.
Yeah, because there's no insulation up there or anything.
Yeah.
Talking about insulation in the attic, and not to sidetrack too long, but is that a benefit for the house?
Insulation in the attic is huge for energy efficiency in the home.
To insulate up against the roofing panel, or what I'm talking about?
You can, if you do spray foam insulation, and where you are insulating essentially your roof. I'm not a huge fan of it. Okay.
Yeah, because then you can't get to it. Then
you lose all visibility of your roof decking, so you can't catch those leaks when they start, and So for inspection purposes, you're completely blind to the roof.
Yeah.
Now, it does turn your attic into part of the conditioned envelope of the home, so you no longer have to ventilate the home because it's going to be part of the conditioned airspace.
Yeah.
I'm more of a fan of having enough insulation on the ceiling.
Okay.
So that ventilate the attic so that the attic is breathing.
Yeah.
And then having enough insulation to prevent energy loss and
right.
Heat gain and things like that.
Yeah. So not a big fan of even the traditional insulation, your fiberglass up against the wall panels or the roof panels. I don't know what you call them.
Not on the roof. Not on the roof.
Panels,
don't put your insulation on the roof decking. There's no reason to do that at all.
Yeah.
You want your insulation to be on the ceiling or the attic floor, but you do want adequate insulation. You want an R30 value on your ceiling.
Yeah.
And that's going to be enough to maintain reasonable energy efficiency.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jumping over to pre-drywall inspections or inspections for new builds, like people are getting new houses all the time, especially in where we live, Somerville. Think about Nexton, think about Cane Bay. These are like the big areas. There's a bunch of areas popping up.
You know how long they're going to be developing Nexton?
Till we're gone.
Yeah, they have plans to do it for the next 25 years.
Yeah, it's insane. One of my buddies is one of the engineers that's building out Cane Bay, and the development he's working on takes like 30 years to complete from like start to finish. That's his job. That's his job
security,
for life,
man. I'm telling you. Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane.
And right now, the inventory for used homes and pre-built homes are at an all-time low and have been for a while.
Yeah.
And the inventory came up a little bit recently, but it's dwindling back down. The interest rates dropped a little bit.
Yep.
Buyers started coming back out, poking their heads back out, and snatching up inventory again.
Yep.
So we're going to go into this season with low inventory. So builders are cranking out new construction fast.
Well, here's the thing about
they are selling it fast.
Here's the thing about new construction. I know my dad had his house inspected by you, but the builder provides a home inspector, right? But to me, that's kind of like one-sided. They're just going to do whatever's in their best.
It's not a third-party inspection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So pulling you in and your crew to inspect a new build, even if it has its own home inspector, is a good idea for a homeowner.
Right.
So can you talk to us about pre-drywall inspection, new build inspection?
Pre-drywall, there's a lot of inspections that go on. Mm-hmm. You've got code inspectors, you got county inspectors, you got framing inspectors. But the thing is, they all go in there and they spend about 15 minutes, 45 minutes walking through. A good pre-drywall inspection is going to take anywhere between 3 to 5 hours.
Good Lord.
It's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
It's a lot to look at because we're looking at every framing member. We're looking at every connection. Mm-hmm. We're looking at all of the truss roof system. Mm-hmm. You've got truss webbing. You've got truss cords.
Yeah.
You've got roof decking. I'm looking to see if these sheathing sections are spaced properly. I'm looking to see if there's any damage to the truss cords and truss webbing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at every single connection. They've got metal connector plates.
Yep.
They've all got to be fastened properly.
Yep.
So we're looking at all that. We're looking at hundreds and hundreds of those in a house. So it doesn't happen quickly.
Yeah.
You got to take your time. You got to see the field.
Super important, though, I feel like, especially someone investing in a new home.
It is. And another thing that we're looking for are load paths. We're focused on load paths. You got dead loads and live loads. Your dead loads, it's the weight of the house.
Okay.
The weight of the house is distributed through certain points in the home. Mm-hmm. It's not just evenly distributed throughout. Mm-hmm. You've got these stud packs. It's like
where you
6
see them all
studs
slapped
all together. Yeah. These are areas to really look at because a lot of times you see a gap at the top of them like that or a gap at the bottom of them like that.
So it can't handle the load.
It's going to drop and close the gap eventually.
Oh, yeah.
And usually that happens after they put the drywall on. That's where you get the drywall cracking.
Oh, dang.
That's what causes drywall to crack.
Oh,
and when
my
you hear
goodness.
about settlement in a home, it's not always soil settlement. A lot of people think when you hear all homes settle, It's not from soil most of the time.
What?
It's structural settlement.
No way.
Yeah.
So those gaps in the structural
shoddy framework is why the structure settles.
That's insane.
Yeah. So what we do is we go in and we identify these gaps, and I'll go in and I'll paint it. I'll spray paint it so that the builder can go in, find those areas, and then put a shim in there. It's an easy fix.
Oh, you just put a shim in?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
It's an easy fix when they're in the framing stage.
Yeah.
Once they hang the drywall, all that goes out the window. So if you, and I'll go through, and a lot of times it's anywhere between 10 to 50 different locations that I'm recommending shims.
In the house?
Yeah.
At one house?
Yeah.
Good Lord, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you're not doing a pre-drywall inspection, you missed an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And then chances are you're going to experience these settlement issues. Windows that used to slide up and down really nicely, all of a sudden are real difficult to operate.
Yeah.
Settlement.
Really?
Doors that used to open and close fine, that start to rub, structural movement, settlement. The doors that used to stay open all the time, but then all of a sudden decide to close on their own, and you got to put
a ghost.
You got to put the door stop on it. Yeah, I mean these are all structural settlement issues.
Yeah.
I always say, it's funny you mentioned ghosts. Yeah. The real haunted house is the house that doesn't get a pre-drywall inspection.
That's right, brother.
That house is going to be haunted for a while, man, with different weird things from the structure moving. So, it's not me against the builder; it's me with the builder.
Right.
I work with the builder to make sure that it's done right, and the builders know nobody's taking the time that we are. So usually the builder appreciates what we do. They appreciate that we're taking the time to go through and find these areas, and it'll and easily distinguish it for them,
right,
so that they can go straight to it and fix it. There's nothing like a builder that looks at a report and he's got pictures and he's looking around and he's like, where's this? And he's got to spend a bunch of time trying to hunt these down. What's going to happen? He's going to toss that report, hang the drywall, boys.
Yep.
All right. But if you're in there and the report's very detailed with the description and it's marked, where he can see it, and boys, everywhere you see the blue paint, fix it.
Yep.
And they can do it in an hour.
Yeah.
So when the process is done right, you can be sure that you buy a house that is structured. The structure is constructed well.
Yeah.
A lot of people always ask me, does the house have good bones? Better question is, does the house have good tendons and ligaments, really? Because it's the connecting points that I really focus on. I look at the wood members as the bones, but the connecting points and the load paths are the tendons and ligaments, and we want to make sure that those areas are connected well.
Absolutely.
They're tight, they're flush. A good framed home is tight and flush, and it's going to be solid.
Yeah. Now let's say you bought a used home, right, or bought a pre-owned, or a home that someone had for a while. They'd never got a pre-drywall inspection. Now you're seeing some settlement. What do you have to do in that case? Rip the drywall off to fix it?
Not necessarily. You're probably just going to end up having to fix the drywall, and you got to give it enough time to settle.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because once it reaches that compaction point, that point of support, it's not going to go anymore. So give it time, let it do its thing. A lot of times a seismic event or a wind event can cause this, because we talked about dead loads that come down, but live loads,
they're pushing it,
are interacting with the home. So you may get wind that's really hitting the house, and the thing that does the most damage from wind, it's not the wind that's hitting the house, because you got all this positive pressure hitting one side of the house. It's the negative pressure on the other side. With wind hitting with all this positive pressure, there's a huge amount of negative pressure on the other side. That's typically what causes most buildings to collapse. Is the negative pressure on the other side pushing it in. So when you've got those live loads happening, though, those gaps are going to wiggle.
They shimmy down real quick.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
What if you had, this just came to my head, but like, what if you're like seeing your drywall cracking, you're thinking that your foundation is settling. You call a foundation guy to come in, and he's like, oh yeah, I need to do this, do that. So like, he's jipping you. You know what I'm saying? How can you get two opinions? Like, who do you call?
So,
home inspector?
I mean, you can call an experienced home inspector to come out to give you an unbiased opinion. Because you've got somebody coming in that isn't going to give you an estimate for repair. All right? And so usually what we'll do is I'll go in, if somebody's concerned about cracking, let me see what's going on. Let me see what type of cracking it is. Sometimes the type of cracking is going to determine what you've got going on.
Okay.
If it's a foundation problem, we're going to find some cracks in that foundation.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're not going to get cracking inside without cracking in that foundation, or some sign of movement or settlement. Might be a pier that's settling under the house that and we can identify that.
Yeah.
So we want to determine if there's a problem with the foundation, with vertical soil settlement, or if it's going to be something related to structural movement within the framing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's usually pretty easy to determine that if you are educated and know the difference.
Yeah. Now, whenever you're doing like a new build, you do the pre-drywall inspection. Once the house is done, would you come in again, or would you recommend to come in again, check everything again?
I do, I recommend a final inspection before you close on the home. This would be once everything is complete, you guys are ready to close on the house, maybe about a week from closing, and they've gone through, they've blue taped it, they've done all their blue tape repairs. That way we can just go in, we can operate everything, we can test everything, test all the receptacles, we can make sure it's wired properly, use an infrared in there, see if there's any hidden leaks, see if there's any areas where they didn't put insulation where it should be. I mean, just put it through the test and make sure that it's good to go. And the reason to do that is because you still have pretty good leverage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The builder doesn't want to push closing back. He's going to want to get those repairs taken care of for you.
Yeah.
And you haven't signed on the property yet.
Yeah.
Most builders, they do have a 1-year warranty after that. So if there are any issues that pop up, you're going to have action against that. But usually you're waiting a month or two before they even get to repairing that.
Yeah. Once you're in there, it's going to take a while.
It is.
He knows.
It is.
He knows.
I also recommend an 11th month inspection, because referring to that 1-year builder's warranty, you have an opportunity in the 11th month to get another inspection and to put another punch list together for your builder to address before the 1-year warranty is up. That's a valuable inspection to have.
Yeah.
So you can use that opportunity to find these issues, and you can also use this opportunity to communicate with your inspector saying, hey, this is annoying the crap out of me, and I've seen this, and I've seen this, and I've seen this. Good home inspector is going to interview their client, and first thing they're going to do is put these things in the report. Okay, yeah, you got a leak over here in your shower. Water keeps coming out of the shower when you're using it. I mean, there's a lot of things that you discover about a home after living in it for 10, 11 months that the home inspector can't discover in 3 hours on site.
Right. Right. Exactly. So you got the pre-drywall, the final, and then the 11th month. That'd be a new build. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah. And I mean, you can even take it a step farther if you want to do a pre-pour inspection. That would be before they lay the slab. You can go out, you can check the pad, you can check the rebar, the depth, all that. You can check the plumbing stubs, just things like that. Yeah.
So
we don't do too many of those. A lot of people don't even know they should get a pre-drywall inspection.
Yeah.
So
I've seen you posting about it lately. That's how I know about it. But before that, you wouldn't even think. It's like, the builder knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, the builder is not doing the work.
Right.
These are sub-trades. And they're
subcontracting out dudes.
These subcontractors are coming in, and they've got tons of them to do.
Yeah.
They're coming in, bam, 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 move on to the next one.
Yeah.
All right. So sometimes they're in more of a hurry than others, and it shows.
And I've seen some of these trusses and stuff getting brought in. I guess they're already assembled for the most part, so that's from somebody else.
Engineered wood trusses, and they get damaged in transport so often.
Oh, shoot.
They bring it in, they drop it down, and
good Lord.
Yeah, so you find cracked trusses all the time. And metal plates, they're all messed up or missing and things like that. So definitely worth having that inspection. For me, the pre-drywall inspection is the most important inspection of the entire new construction process. Yeah,
it makes total sense. Yeah. What about like slab considerations versus crawl space? We talk a lot about crawl spaces, but are slabs like anything in particular with them?
The only thing that we're looking for with slabs is just checking to make sure that the concrete mix is proper. A lot of times they put too much water in it. You got shrinkage cracks, and you got bad concrete pours.
Yeah.
We don't want to see that. But with slab homes, you don't have the crawl space. You don't have the moisture issues to deal with under it. You don't have the microbial growth. So there's a lot of benefit to having a slab here.
Yeah.
But then, there's some some negatives to it too. The fact that you can't get under it and inspect it. The fact that there's plumbing under there, and to repair plumbing under a slab is
nightmare.
Sometimes impossible.
I was about to say, can you even do that?
Sometimes they just cut it off and then they put new plumbing in to the attic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's usually what happens here.
That's crazy.
There's plumbing. It's cheaper to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I figure the slab, you better make sure that pad is like perfect, because if that pad is not right, that slab is going to get jacked up.
That's right. It needs to be compacted properly. Otherwise, you have vertical soil settlement, and then you do have those foundation issues, and got to call out the foundation guy. Yeah. That's bad news. Anytime you've got to reach out to the foundation guy,
not a good day.
It's not a good day.
If you see him at your neighbor's house, you better be. It might be something going on at my house too. If you live in one of those neighborhoods,
that's when you start looking at the monthly budget and like, do I need this? Do I need that? Do I need this? Probably not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eliminate the luxuries and pay the foundation man. Yeah.
Yep. Well, good to go. I mean, there's so much with houses. I think we touched on, at least from my perspective, some of the major points. I can't express to the listener how much I learned from you just in those 2 inspections I did with you, or that you did for me, and I was just kind of shadowing you, asking a bunch of questions. I mean,
it's the benefit of attending your home inspection.
Yeah.
You get so much more information than you do just from reading a report. You can be on site. You can talk to your inspector. You can ask questions. The great thing about a home inspection is it's like a 3-hour window where there are no dumb questions.
Yeah.
Because the home inspector knows most everything about the home, and we know that our client does not, and that's why we are there. So don't be afraid to get involved and ask stupid questions. Educate yourself. Learning about your home, man, I mean, that's your responsibility. So the more you know about your home, the better. I know that for my clients, I offer that on site, and then I offer myself as a resource after they close. So my clients know that if they see something weird going on at their house, or they want to know what something is or where something is, they can always give me a call, and I'm always willing to help them after the inspection. Yeah.
And I will say too, your reports are like intense. You know, your home inspection, you take pictures of every little thing. The homeowner has it, and I think I'm pretty sure you sent it to the seller as well. The seller and the home buyer got it.
We do not sell it. We do not send it to the seller. We'll send it to your real estate agent and to you. Who you want to send it to after that is up to you. But we feel that the home inspection is confidential information. We're never going to share that with a third party because sometimes the home inspection is used to negotiate prices.
Right.
And so, you know, when you have a negotiation tool like that, you don't show your cards at the poker table. You know what I mean? You keep that close to the vest. So we understand how the process works. So we're never going to share that report with anybody unless you tell us you want us to. Now, with pre-drywall, that's different. Builder needs to fix everything. I say, you get your pre-drywall inspection, read it over, send it to the builder, say fix it. Because everything on here needs to be fixed. There is no negotiation that goes on there.
Exactly.
It's just a punch list for him.
Now, if you're selling a house too, it's probably a good idea to have a home inspection before you sell it, so you know what's going on, right?
We do a lot of pre-listing inspections. These are people that want to be in control of the process. The benefit of doing a pre-listing inspection is that you don't have to hire a licensed general contractor to repair things. Because if I'm representing the buyer and I see something that needs to be fixed, I'm not going to say, hey, have your neighbor fix it and pay him with a 12-pack of beer. I'm going to make the recommendation to have a licensed general contractor come in and make this repair. It's going to cost more. If you identify these things on your report and you are a handy individual and you are well versed in the repair, you can make the repair yourself. Or you can just hire a handyman. Not necessarily a licensed general contractor. It's going to save you a lot of money on these repairs. So you can get in front of things. Now, also, you can use your inspection as a marketing tool. You can have potential buyers come in and say, hey, just had this report done. This is performed by a certified master inspector, INTRNACHI and ASHI certified, and take a look at it. And if it's a good report, the buyer looks through there like, I like this. And sometimes they'll waive their due diligence. They'll be like, I'm good with this. Why do I need to pay $500 for a home inspection? You've done it for me. Thank you very much. Let's go under contract. So it allows you to be in control of things. Also, timelines. When you get that report, you know that nothing's going to come up the last 2 weeks before closing
Yeah.
that's going to cause you to maybe have to back closing up
Yeah.
and have to scramble to find somebody to fix things for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of benefit to having a pre-listing inspection.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense to me, dude.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to pest control, unless there's another home inspection topic you think is important for the listener to know about.
The only thing I would say is to choose the right home inspector.
Choose Bob. I mean, that's the go-to, man.
Well,
Bob and his team.
I'm not going to argue with you. But I'm not the only qualified home inspector out there. But you want to make sure that you do vet your home inspector. And the way to do that is to call and have a conversation, all right? I know a lot of people listen to their real estate agent, and the real estate agent says, hey, use this guy. Or here's a list of 3 guys. Pick one. Well, if you're going to use a list and you're going to pick one, call all 3 of them. Find out what they're going to do for you. Find out what you can expect from them. Just listen to how they explain their process. And you'll get a good idea of who you're dealing with. And I think as a home buyer, you want an inspector that's knowledgeable enough and thorough enough to find as many defects as possible, but also experienced enough to be able to communicate properly those issues. Because there's some inspectors out there that are really smart, and you know it when you talk to them because you can't understand a damn thing they say.
But that's the issue. You can't understand them.
What good is it? What are you learning if he's speaking, a different language? And that's how it is. A home inspector, we're talking about things. It's a different language for some people. They've never heard these terms. They don't have any clue. It's like a college professor sitting there trying to speak to a grade school, about calculus. It's the same thing. The grade school kid's not even understanding. Eyes roll back in the head, and they're gone. You know. So having an inspector that can translate the information to you and set expectations and give their opinion. I know whenever I was getting started out, and I was all about covering my butt. So I'm not going to give my opinion, just the facts. This is what's going on. Well, is that a problem? Well, you're going to have to talk to a plumber about that. Well, you're going to have to talk to an electrician about that. But see, after a while, and you do enough inspections and you spend enough time on education, you know that these aren't an issue. And then you can reassure your client, this is not a big problem. This is not a big problem. Now this one here you're going to need to be concerned with. When you ask the seller for when you're putting together a repair list, sometimes the home inspector can even help saying, hey, you might want to ask for this, and this. I wouldn't ask for this, or this. Just to give their opinion. So I know that with experience and time and education, I've become way more opinionated as a home inspector, and I think that has increased my value and the value that I bring to my clients because it's just more information for them, and they feel better going forward about things because some of these reports are 80 and 90 defects long, 100 defects, and the buyer looks at it and their head's spinning and they're thinking, yikes, this isn't the home for us. Might be able to talk to your home inspector. We'll go through that report and I'll let them know, you got a long honey-do list. But these are all minor things. They're not major. And so it's nice to be able to give them perspective on these reports. So if you're choosing a home inspector, you want a home inspector that's going to be able to communicate those things to you and give you a good understanding of what you're purchasing. And rather than just delivering a report and saying here. And then you're left to work with your real estate agent. Some real estate agents are very versed with home inspections and can make some good recommendations, but they're real estate agents. They're not home inspectors. So you should always have a conversation with your home inspector about the home inspection. Don't have a conversation with your real estate agent about a home inspection.
Exactly. And I do reiterate, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, going to the inspection, being there. But even if you're just buying any home, or even, I don't know if they can walk with you on pre-drywall. Walk with you every single inspection.
It's rare that they want to sit there for 3 to 5 hours, but they usually stick around long enough to get an idea of what it is that we do. But the more you can learn, the better. And I think from a homeowner standpoint, there are things that you can learn about your home that will pay in the long run. Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, hopping over to pest control real quick. what are some of the major pest control services that a homeowner or a property owner might be thinking about or should be thinking about? We talked about termites already, but what do you got?
And I think termites are mandatory, especially here.
Yeah.
We have an average of 25 termite colonies per acre of land.
What?
So
are you serious?
quick math, Chad. How many termite colonies do you have on your property?
It's 25 per acre?
Per acre.
That's insane, dude. That's like, I can't even calculate it. It's so many. I've seen them in the woods for sure. I've seen them going up trees and everything.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we are across enemy lines, and we have two different type of species. We have the eastern sub and the Formosan termite. So, termite protection is a must. Homes are pre-treated before they're built. That pre-treat is going to hold up for about 3 to 5 years at best. So, between that 3 and 5 year mark is when you need to be looking for a company that's going to be able to provide preventative protection for your home and a good termite bond. Because a good termite bond is going to protect the home, and if it fails, the bond is going to cover extermination of the infestation, and it will also cover the repairs and replacement of any damages that come from that termite infestation. And it should be renewable on an annual basis. And it's, like I said, protection that doesn't get covered by your homeowner's warranty. Homeowner's warranty covers a lot of things, but those policies don't cover Formosan termites. Just did a big Formosan infestation extermination out on Folly Beach.
What?
Yeah, we were out there. Eric and I were out there drilling. I think we drilled over 200 holes. It was about a 9-hour affair out there.
Oh my gosh.
And they had a slab on top of a slab, and there was a gap between the two slabs, and there was soil grade in between the two slabs. Very, very strange construction.
What?
It's like an old foundation, and then they put another foundation on top. Yeah. And so what happened is those termites were living between the two slabs.
Oh gosh.
We drilled all the wall lines and started going down. I felt that next slab down there, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have to drill through that slab too. The thing is, it's so thick we couldn't get beneath it. So we knew that we had to treat the soil in between the slabs. The bad thing is, it was very difficult to get the soil to take the termiticide. So this is where experience comes in. Literally, you had to rod in and then back the rod up just a little bit, and it created a suction that allowed the spread of the chemical. I mean, it's a very, very specific type of treatment, and that would be, you know, when I was first getting into business, working with Dad back in the early 90s, I would not have treated that structure properly. But, you know, when you've treated multiple situations over a long period of time, you figure out the little techniques that allow you to treat properly. And the thing is, with the treatment like that, the homeowner would have never known if we treated it properly or not. They see you sticking a rod down there, they think that you're doing it right. But I knew when more of the product is coming out and not going in, that you're not getting that soil treated properly. You know, we had to change the tip on our rod to a directional tip that goes out horizontally, horizontally rather than vertically. And using a little bit of technique and finesse, we were able to treat that structure properly. And then you know, when you drill all those holes, you have to patch those holes. And that was a lot of patchwork. A big pet peeve of mine is seeing sloppy patchwork on those holes. We're really meticulous about those. We want them to look just pristine whenever we're done. So you know, we patch them, we let them dry a little bit, we sand them down, we color it, we match the color to the cement by using the old cement dust and things like that. So aesthetically, we want it to look really good when we're done. It's the mark of an artist right there.
Well, I think your intricate details of being a home inspector help in that case too, especially training your team too, to have that level of detail.
We have an understanding of building science and the way buildings are constructed. So when you do have that knowledge, knowing how a home is built and how foundations are, you can just see in your mind how termites can get into a structure. And a good termite extermination, we're going to treat every entry point into the house. So you can't leave any gaps. Every bit of soil around that house has to be treated. We either dig a trench and treat down to the footer, or drilling through concrete and treating below the slab, or we're drilling through masonry blocks and injecting chemical into the voids.
Interesting.
Brick veneer.
Yeah.
Brick around a home, one of the number one places that termites get into the home, because you got the brick, and you've got the foundation, and there's a gap.
Yep.
Termites come right in between and get up into the wall, and they're in the wall for years without knowing.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's insane.
Yeah, so it's much cheaper and easier to prevent termites than it is to exterminate them. So it's important not to wait for the termite infestation. Most homes have termites for 4 to 6 years before they know it.
Oh, really?
And that's where all the damage comes from. A lot of people don't know that they have termites until they swarm.
Oh.
They see the flying termites coming out. But see, that colony's been there probably for about 4 or 5 years before they actually release a swarm brood like that.
Dang.
So, yeah, a lot of damage can happen in 4 or 5 years.
So, overall preventative termite treatment, that includes the bait boxes, right?
I prefer that.
All that.
I prefer the right baiting system. There's a lot of different baiting systems out there. You need to choose the right one. There's only 2 or 3 out there that are actually labeled for colony elimination. So you want to look for baiting systems that are labeled for colony elimination. There's dozens and dozens out there that on the label says for the control of termites. And that's the key. Colony elimination versus control.
Yep.
There's a big difference right there.
Yep.
So using a baiting system that is labeled for colony elimination is the way to go for long-term preventative, because you don't have soils that degrade in the soil, or chemicals that degrade in the soil.
Yeah.
So if you apply a chemical, it starts degrading the day after you apply it.
Yeah.
Now, it may last 5 to 7 years, but it's getting weaker by the day.
Right.
Whereas a baiting system gets better by the day. The wetter it gets, and the more moist, the more gnarly it gets, it becomes more attractive to the termites. Yeah.
And if you got 25 colonies on
there.
1 acre,
They're already there.
your baiting system's going to help knock those out, right? But they're going to reestablish probably over
termites, they can't see. They can't. So they're blind. It's not like they're pop the periscope up and they're looking. Okay, there's a house, boys. Let's go get it. They are literally randomly and continuously foraging. So they're just blind out there looking, searching. But they've got a lot of scouts out there.
Oh yeah.
And so what happens is they bump into your house, and then they're like, "Hey, we got something here. Let's see what's going on." And then they'll explore the house. So when you have a baiting system installed around the house, you've got buried bait stations every 10 to 12 feet all the way around the house. These continuously and randomly foraging scouts are going to find those bait stations and see it's below ground. They don't even have to come out of the ground. It's ideal. And then the product that's in the baiting system is a compressed cellulose bait product. So cellulose is the number one food source.
What they want.
So essentially we're putting a juicy steak dinner right on their dinner table.
Yeah.
They don't have to leave home.
Yeah.
And they can sit down and eat.
Yeah.
And they start taking that product back to the colony. They spread it to the queen, spread it to the colony. These use, to get technical, a chitin synthesis inhibitor. And it affects their ability to molt. So they can no longer molt properly. And so it's not going to kill them right away. It's going to kill them on their next molt. So that's probably in a month or 2.
Oh, dang.
Which is the beautiful thing about the product, because it doesn't kill them right away.
They keep taking it.
They spread it through the whole colony. So by the time that first termite starts to die, everybody's had a bite. Colony is going to collapse. Those are the baits that are labeled for colony elimination. Now, the ones that are labeled for the control of termites use a stomach toxin. So they come up, they eat it, they die quickly. There's no transfer.
The next termite comes, they get it, and
they die.
Yeah.
But there's no transfer back to the colony.
Right.
So the queen, all she's got to do is start ramping up egg production, and that's what they'll do.
Oh, dang.
When they realize their numbers are diminished, the queen's like, I got to get busy. So she ramps up egg production. They can also, through the pheromone process, create a secondary egg producer.
Oh, my goodness.
The queen will essentially promote one of the reproductives and say, okay, you need to start laying eggs too. So
We're
then
losing too many soldiers or whatever.
That's right.
Dude,
because
that's crazy.
The colony survival relies on worker termites continuously feeding. They got to feed, a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And they starve out quick.
Yeah.
They starve out quick.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
dude. So the benefit of having termites like in the environment is just decay of things that have fallen into the rotten wood.
That's
and stuff
the natural
like that.
order of things. They decompose. They're tremendous decomposers out there.
But you got a cookie cutter neighborhood like Nexton, for example. You got 25 colonies in 1 acre. That's all house right there, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's not much else to eat.
Exactly.
You know? Now, one thing that we do see with new construction is a lot of times you have these earth-filled porches. So you're talking about a porch, and it's got dirt in it. Unfortunately, a lot of these builders use that as a dumpster site for their scrap lumber.
Oh, shoot.
They throw all kinds of scrap lumber in there, and then they pour a slab on top of it. So you got dirt.
No way.
You got all this wood in there.
What?
And when termites find that area,
they love it.
Oh man, it's
just
a smorgasbord of soft pine, chock full of cellulose. So what they do is they spend years devouring all of that, growing in numbers, and then you have this big colony, and then one day they're out of food. They have exhausted all the food in that earth-filled porch. Then they come for the house, and they come for the house hard. So we see that a lot, and that's when you got to go through, you got to drill, and you got to inject that chemical down there.
That's when having those bait stations all the way around your house are gonna save you, because that colony is gonna get
comes in beneficial. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes even a bait system won't help you in that situation.
Really?
Because they're inside that earth-filled porch.
Yeah.
Your bait stations are outside.
Oh, dang. So they're inside
and they're
the
just
perimeter.
eating that food in there. They don't need to go searching for the bait. They've got all that food, but then they run out of food. But they're right there at the house. That porch is attached to the house. All they got to do is go in and up. And then their scouts are going to find the house before they find the bait station. So you got a bait station out there, and that's not even touching the termites.
Yeah.
So
dude.
There is no silver bullet when it comes to termite baiting, termite protection. Bait systems have their pros. I think for a long-term prevention, it's my choice. But there's also a place for liquid treatment still too. And the important thing is to have a good termite bond. You want to make sure that you are covered for the retreatment of termites and the repair of damages, and you want to make sure formosan termites are included as well, because there are plenty of companies out there that don't want the liability, and they exclude formosan termites on their termite bonds.
Definitely good to know. So the listener now knows, because they probably wouldn't even know that
formosan
before.
termites, if you live in the low country, if you live in any of the southeastern states, 11 southeastern states that are affected by formosan termites, you want to make sure that is something that's included on your bond. That is a question you want to ask.
Good to go.
When you are shopping for a termite bond, there are three main things that you want to know about. Price, how much is it going to cost me? Product, what are you using to protect my house? And the guarantee, what happens if things go wrong? Everything else is just bells and whistles. Everything else is just salesmen trying to sell something. Okay, but if you boil it down to those three things, and not necessarily in that order, cheapest isn't going to be the best. I can tell you that.
Exactly.
All right, but like I said, there's only a few products out there that I would recommend protecting the home. There's a few liquid products that are good. There's a few baiting products that are good. There's a lot more out there that aren't good. Okay, and they're cheaper products, and you may come across the company that are using cheaper products because they want to make more money. They want to keep more money. They keep their overhead down. I'm not a fan of that. Okay, I'm always going to use the most expensive products. My prices are always going to be more than the guy that's not using the expensive products. But in the long run, it's going to save everybody money. Because I, as a company, know I'm not going to be doing retreatments and repairing damages and things like that. And then as the homeowner, you don't have to worry about hidden infestations, hidden damages, and things like that.
Quality, to me, to you, is the same thing. When we're running a business or when we're using a service ourselves, quality is the most important thing.
100%.
To me, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
That's why I'm going to be 100% on my preventative maintenance for my car, my health, my house, my pest control, because to me, again, that's the quality aspect versus, hey, let me try to save this money. I don't need to pay for that. I don't need to get an oil change. I don't need to inspect my house, and then all of a sudden this happens and it's way more expensive than all of that.
The funny thing is, people think they're saving money. That is not the way to save money.
Train wreck's going to happen at some point.
That's right. That is not the way to save money.
Real quick, any other pest control treatment services that like a homeowner or property owner should be thinking about other than termites?
Here we have a lot of household pest issues. Homeowners can do their own pest control, really. I mean, there are products available over the market. If it's done properly, mild to moderate pest issues can really be handled do-it-yourself. In fact, I've got a lot of people that reach out to me and say, hey, what can I do myself? And I am more than happy to tell people how to do things themselves.
Yeah.
I'm always about the relationship.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need a pest control contract with you for us to have a relationship.
Right.
So I'm always open to help people do their own thing.
Right.
And I know that if they trust me as a resource, that when things get out of hand and they need to call the cavalry, they'll give me a call, and I'll be there to take care of them.
Yeah.
But household pest control, we do offer that. We do focus on safe treatments, nothing that's harmful, nothing that stinks up the place. We utilize a lot of baits. Baiting in the attic is real big for like palmetto bugs, American cockroaches, and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a breeding area up there. We can throw a scatter bait up there and keep that from being a breeding area. It really holds up a long time.
Yeah.
Same thing with crawl spaces. We can put that scatter bait in crawl spaces.
Yeah.
We're not using contact pesticides and introducing toxic pesticides into the environment. I try to be really, really conscious about what we're doing to the environment. We don't want to put the wrong thing in the wrong spot, and we don't want to affect non-target animals and non-target species.
A lot of people have pets. That's got to be a consideration.
And I'm telling you, it's not worth killing a family member over getting rid of a few bugs.
Yeah.
So we're always taking that into consideration.
Yeah.
We offer yard and lawn treatments. Fire ants is the biggest thing. I know we worked with some fire ants here for a little while.
Yeah. I thought about getting an anteater at one point. They don't do it as good as I thought. I did all my research, but
it would be cool to see that thing roaming around here with all the guineas and everything else that you got going on here. I'm not gonna lie, I would like to see that in action.
Yeah.
And then mosquito. Mosquito is actually public health. Mosquito can transmit viruses and diseases, and I know that people are affected by mosquitoes. So mosquito service is a really popular service. We start that up in March and we continue it through October. We use larvicides on standing water. We use adulticides to treat vegetation, and it's a really effective service that we offer. Yeah,
very effective.
You can speak to that.
Again, I live out here in the swamp, and we have plenty of mosquitoes, but Bob basically puts up a wall. Bob and Eric, they put up what we call the wall. Like if you ever seen Game of Thrones, they got the wall, keeping the White Walkers. That's what he's doing to the mosquitoes. And as soon as you cross that wall, they're on you.
It's a big difference. It is a big difference.
It's crazy, and they're big too. That's the reason why they're the state bird.
Yeah, exactly. Man, and those things will get you through your shirt.
Oh
too.
Yeah, dude. They don't care.
If you're wearing a shirt, it don't matter. They'll stick you right through your shirt.
The crazy thing about mosquito, if I'm not mistaken, is it actually when it hits you, it inserts like something that way you can't feel they're there. I don't know what it's called, but
it's almost like a local anesthesia.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and they're just feeding off. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah, absolutely.
Insane.
So I mean, we've got. Zika was always a big concern, and that's a possibility. We don't have a ton of cases, so I don't think that you got to lose sleep if you get bit by a mosquito, but the threat's always there. You want to reduce the threat as much as you can. Chikungunya is another mosquito-borne illness. Lyme. As well.
Oh, that's on mosquitoes too.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was just ticks.
No, it isn't. They can transmit that as well.
Dang.
They've found that out, actually.
Really? So jumping back into ticks, they carry diseases and viruses and all that too. So that's what the yard treatment would be for ticks?
Yeah, absolutely. Ticks,
or fleas.
Fire ants. Those are probably the biggest issues. Some people that have turf have mole crickets.
Oh.
Mole crickets can really do some damage to some nicer turf grass. So that would be something that we hit sometimes. And then you have ground infestations of like yellow jackets and things like that pop up from time to time. So a good yard pest control treatment is going to prevent all of that or eliminate issues if they do pop up. Absolutely.
Or you could get some guineas. Guinea fowl, perfect for ticks.
That's the better solution. I mean, I'm all about natural solutions. I would much rather have the pack of guineas than to have a quarterly pest service.
Well, the good thing about guineas, dude, is they're good for ticks, fleas, spiders and all that, snakes, and they're your watchdogs. So if your teenage kid's ever trying to sneak out, they'll let you know in the middle of the night. They'll start sounding the alarm.
It's the best. It's the best. Dude, I I would highly recommend
Yeah.
it. I would recommend that
get
over.
some. I'll get you some when you get your property if you want.
Yeah.
If you want some, dude, I'll hook you up.
I would totally. We may have a conversation about that in the near future. Yeah.
We're getting some peacocks out here in the spring, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. That's some nice action there.
Ben doesn't know about them yet.
Have some peacock song.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 peacocks.
Oh yeah.
Peacocks.
They'll let you know they're on site.
Oh yeah. But jumping back into pest control real quick, what was I going to ask? Oh, you know how honeybees, can be affected by some pest control stuff?
Pollinators.
Yep. How is that impacted by like the mosquito treatments or like yard treatments? Are they pretty good to go with it? Or?
What we don't want to do is we don't want to treat flowering vegetation.
Because that's where they're going.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So definitely don't want to treat flowering vegetation. We won't treat flowering vegetation. We're using pesticides that are not mixed really strong too. A lot of people will think, well, you got to use the max strength. With mosquitoes, that's not the case. Mixed minimum strength, because you want them to land on it. You want them to spend some time in it. You don't want them to land on it and be like, whoa, that's hot. I'm heading the other way.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get out of there before they're truly affected by the product's mode of action.
Yeah.
So, mixing it properly, applying it responsibly, that is a big duty of responsible pest control operators, is to not impact the environment negatively and not impact pollinators.
Yeah.
Pollinators are so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there any natural predators of mosquitoes that you know of that a homeowner could try to establish on their
I mean,
close to them
there's some natural repellents, chrysanthemums, certain types of flowers will kind of repel them, but the number one thing is to eliminate breeding areas on your property.
Which is the standing water.
Standing water.
Right.
Mosquitoes can breed in just a soda cap full of water.
Really?
That's all it takes.
My goodness.
So any amount of water that could fill a soda cap lid or more, mosquitoes can lay eggs in there, and larvae can develop in it. And so gutters, going back to gutters.
Yep.
Cleaning your gutters, having improperly sloped gutters can hold water. You can have mosquitoes come out there. Areas that are puddle up and hold puddles for long periods of time.
Yep.
Bird baths. People have bird baths out in their yard. Change your bird bath out daily.
Yeah.
Things like that. If you have old tires hanging out, those things hold water for
forever,
all the time. They always have water in them.
Yeah.
So, flower pots that you have out there that may not be in use, just holding water.
Yeah.
All these little things, that's really the best thing you can do. Eliminate all the standing water on your property.
Gotcha. One last question about mosquitoes, like moist soil. Are they able to reproduce in that, or does it have to be like legit? Like
it needs to be standing water.
Standing water.
It has to be standing water. Yeah. But now, what you can have is some eggs. They're hanging out in some moist soil.
They'll just sit there, and then whenever the water comes up, they're good to go.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, they start to develop. They're dormant otherwise. Yeah.
What about gnats?
Gnats.
The no-see-ums.
Unfortunately, you're on your own.
Arch enemy.
Yeah. There really is nothing that you can do from a pest control standpoint to really reduce those. Even mosquito treatment doesn't reduce those.
Yeah.
So, those...
Where do they come? Where do they, reproduce at?
Organic material.
Okay.
And moist organic material.
So everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much you can do about those, the biting gnats and things like that. They are seasonal invaders, and unfortunately, anything that you would do that would have an impact on them would probably have too big of a negative impact on the environment. Because you're going to have to go in there with an Agent Orange type approach, and
not worth it.
No,
not worth it.
No, it's not. You're going to destroy the ecosystem around you with something like that. So
do you know what benefit gnats actually have? Do they have any benefit for the ecosystem?
They're part of the food chain.
So they just feed other things.
Yeah. I mean, wherever they fall into the food chain is, obviously their role. Yeah. And I don't know exactly where they fall into that, but they are feeding something, and they're providing a purpose, and part of the natural balance of things.
Absolutely.
So, we complain about it, but you never know what happens if you take those away.
Yeah.
Take those away, then what else goes away?
Yeah.
And then what goes away after that?
I'll tell you what, I've had a growing respect for spiders over the years, because when you're younger, you're just like killing them all the time if you see any.
Right.
But now I'm walking around out here, you see the big, I call them banana spiders.
Yeah.
I don't know what the technical word is, but they have huge webs. They're catching mosquitoes, gnats, and all that. And these things are big suckers. Yeah.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
I do not kill them.
I name them.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Bob, good morning.
Yeah.
I named one Bob last
Name one
year.
after me, huh?
But do you know if they die every year, if they go into like hibernation during the wintertime, they come out? Do you know?
Some species will overwinter. Some do not. It just depends. The banana spiders, I believe they do. I believe they do in certain climates.
Yeah.
Certain climates they won't.
Well, they know where I walk at too, because literally I'll walk into one of their webs, the next day they'll move it up, and it's crazy how they can build a whole web overnight.
Oh yeah.
In just like a couple hours.
Absolutely,
they're just
man.
like masterminds.
Yeah.
They'll have like web
they're
attached
phenomenal.
Way over there, web attached. They like the way they design it is insane.
Anytime I walk through a web, I feel bad. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I know you worked hard on that. You know that spider's like.
Yeah.
You asshole.
Good to go. All right, so getting off of pest control, any other pest control topics that you think are important for the homeowner or property owner or anything?
I mean, sanitation and eliminating the conditions that are conducive to infestation. So, insects always have to have a food source. They have to have a water source. If you can eliminate food source and water source, you're not going to have the infestation. So, also vegetation that's touching your house can allow path to the structure. You don't want vegetation touching the house. Caulking and sealing your home up properly eliminates cracks and entry points. So all of these things are part of an IPM strategy. IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management, and that's really what, when I talk to you about old school, using modern techniques, IPM's part of that. Old school, it was spray everything. And if that doesn't work, mix it stronger and spray everything again. All right? Now, IPM strategies, integrated pest management. We don't want to just rely on chemical to be sprayed. In fact, I prefer not to spray chemical unless it's necessary. We want to do as much as we can. We want to advise our clients as much as possible. When we see things on site, hey, you got some standing water over here, you need to eliminate that, you need to improve drainage here, you need to clean your gutters, you need to trim the trees away from the house, bushes are too close touching the house, the mulch is built up against the house, let's get that pulled away. Just everything that we can do to minimize our impact is what we want to do. So we're always advising our clients in ways that they can help improve the process and allow us to use less product. Because ultimately, the less product, the better.
You got a question, Ben?
Well, I was gonna tell a story about Bob's brother Eric. Head of the pest control, right? Came out to my house because I bought a newly built home, like a townhouse, so I'm connected to a bunch of other homes and stuff. Right? And I have a little regret right now, Bob, not having you come out there because the builders didn't do a great job.
Let's just lay the cards on the table. I told them to call you. I told them to.
But they did what you said. Where one, there's a couple factors. One, we were on crunch for time to get in the house, and they had all a bunch of they stopped building the house for a month because everyone was all over the place, losing people. But they had their own inspector. Blah blah blah. They gave us the report.
Don't worry, we got you.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
We were in a crunch. Chad was telling me to reach out to you, but we were trying to get the process going. And so whenever we first were moving in there, had a lot of ants just randomly show up, just in my everywhere.
Gotcha.
Randomly.
Yep.
Now, I was what the issue is because my house is clean, don't have food laying around or whatever, pretty sanitary like you were saying. But one of the issues is like I said, they did a poor job, so not a lot of caulking was done in the kitchen.
Okay. Right.
And now, even where they did caulk, now it's I have to go through my whole house and re-caulk.
Oof.
The caulk already cracked and disappeared. In the bathroom.
Yeah.
Low quality.
Builder grade caulking.
Low quality caulk. Yeah.
And these dudes were in a rush to get the project done because they're behind X amount of months.
Absolutely. And if you find yourself at the end of the quarter, heaven forbid, they need to close.
Yeah.
They need those
money.
numbers.
Yeah, they need
those
money.
numbers for quarterly reports.
They need it rolling.
Yeah.
And so I had your brother come out, and I was telling him about the ants because that was the number one thing, and he did a bunch of bait stuff, and he was saying that the ants, they built the slab and the whole structure on top of a bunch of ant nests. They were just already in the ground.
Yeah,
just
sure.
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
And he said that's where they're coming. They're just coming up into the house. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He baited them. You know, we haven't had any ant
Good.
problems since.
Yeah.
He did give me some bait. He's like, if they start showing up, you can use this bait, you know, and like lay it on your like edges of whatever.
Yeah.
So I would like randomly have that happen. So I would use the bait, and then they would go away. You know,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
it'd die off. But the ant thing was something that we were dealing with for a while.
Anytime you're dealing with a situation with ants and they're foraging, you've got to get to the colony. And so, the best way to use that is either through a bait or through a non-repellent pesticide. The non-repellent pesticides, they won't chase the ants around. If you use the wrong product, you can spray for ants. Say they're coming here. A lot of people make the mistake. They spray a repellent product there. It moves them from one place to another, and then you spray there, and they move to another place. It's like the water balloon. You squeeze one side, and the water goes to the other side. You know.
That's pretty much what was happening. Do it in the kitchen. They show up in my bathroom or wherever they can.
So non-repellents will allow the ants to trail through it, and they get it on them, and it doesn't kill them right away. It's like that bait. They'll transfer it through their social contact and spread the product from one ant to another, ultimately eliminating the colony. So proper use of baits and non-repellents is the way to go with that. And certainly if you are having reoccurring issues, then you give us a call. I mean, we want to come out and kind of analyze that and see where they're coming in, and
he just texted me the other day actually to get
another visit in.
Keep up with it. Keep up with it. But we're always on call. I prefer that my clients don't pick up their own product. If you're in my database and you are under an active guarantee, then you should just call us, and we can come out and make sure that things are done properly, safely. After all, we have the license to apply the products. So I certainly prefer to be on site with those. I mean, honestly, I love going into difficult infestations. I mean, that's what I specialize in. I mean, those are the challenging cases. I mean, I don't like going out there doing preventative work. Anybody can do that. I let everybody else do that. But if there's something and they're like, I've had 5 bug guys out and nobody's been able to get rid of it. Ooh, yeah.
That's
what I like right there. Check this out. A quick story on that. Had a lady, she had book lice.
Really?
Showing up in her house all over her laundry area, and then they're spreading from that area. But I mean, you could tell that the laundry area is ground zero, and she's like, they just keep showing up on my washer and dryer. I keep wiping it off. They just keep showing up. I'm out there. I'm like the 5th bug guy that's been out there. I go out there. I'm looking through everything. She's got a library on the other side, like book lice. They got books. Okay, this should be a dead giveaway. I'm going through, looking through. I just can't find any evidence. I'm like, there's no way that this number of book lice are showing up, and I'm not going to see where they're at. And I mean, I literally scoured. I was probably on my 2nd hour of this inspection, and I'm starting to feel like the other 5 guys that have been there before me. I'm like, okay, maybe this is outside of my ability here, And then I looked up. I think I might have been praying, dear God, please give me the insight to help this woman. And as I looked up, I saw a jar of fish flakes that you would feed fish. And I looked over and I said, ma'am, where's your fish? She's like, they died and I got rid of that tank about 8 months ago. Grabbed that jar of fish flakes, opened it up. It was just crawling with them.
Oh, shoot.
Put the cap on it, bagged it up. Okay, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's crazy.
Just sometimes the infestation, again, it was that opportunity. They had the food source, created a breeding ground for them, and sometimes you just gotta really open your eyes and look around.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I was the one that found the problem.
And it takes time doing that. Some people might be in there, they're in a rush, they're squeezed you in between appointments or something. They're like, oh, I gotta go, I can't,
Yeah.
And then that's where that quality comes in.
A lot of these infestations, the answer isn't to spray, because you can spray all you want. You're not going to get rid of the problem. You got to eliminate the source. Same thing with pantry pests, with your grandma.
Yeah.
It was the same thing there. And I'll go into homes and they have Indian meal moths in their kitchen flying around. I literally have to grab a flashlight and I have to go through their entire food storage.
Everything.
Open, looking, and eventually I find something in there that's got some webbing. You see some webbing a lot of time, and they can get in unopened containers. So
that's crazy.
I mean, I'm looking at this unopened package of food and it's kind of sticking to the sides a little bit. It almost looks like maybe static electricity is kind of sticking. No, that's webbing in there. And you open it up and start looking around. There's a little extra protein in the rice here,
Toss that out in the yard for the guineas.
Exactly. Oh, man.
They'll love that.
Absolutely. They sure would.
Well, what I was going to say about neighborhoods, because you brought it up, they built the slab on top of ants, is like, think about it. Every time we build a structure, whether it be a neighborhood or just a house out in the woods, you're altering the environment, and things have already been living there way before you came in.
Absolutely.
So you're displacing them, and they're gonna adapt and adjust, and they're like, oh, food, so they'll be in there,
right?
Whatever, So definitely got to keep that in consideration.
I feel like if you legit came to my house, you'd rip it apart.
I'm sure.
The countertops, they didn't even like.
Oh, you talking about from a home inspection standpoint?
They didn't secure it properly.
No, I can literally pick my.
It's funny you mention that. I mean, that's literally part of my process, my inspection process. I will go by and I will lift on counters because.
Well, real quick, how long have you been in that house?
I just did it. This October will be 2 years.
Okay.
So you're over the year warranty.
Yeah.
Well, I did do my warranty stuff with them. Like they messed a bunch of trim work up and stuff. It's like
a lot of cosmetic stuff and right.
That my girlfriend was really picky about.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Stuff had to get taken care of quickly.
Yeah.
They did have a laundry list of stuff that they would not cover, and a lot of it was like structure. Like it seems like drywall and stuff like that. They wouldn't fix. All that stuff.
Right.
So,
really.
Very nitpicky.
Shoddy framework leads to bad drywall.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these builders know that that it's going to happen, and they write it out.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to fix every single home that they build. Yeah. And
well,
every
a
single home
townhome,
they
for
build
example, if you go inspect a townhome, because it's like a adjoining structure.
Yeah.
How does that affect the inspection? You have to obviously you're if you're doing a pre-drywall on a townhome, you're seeing into the other townhomes.
Yeah. And
you see this affects this over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually on a pre-drywall, if it's a connected structure, I mean, we're just sticking to the framing that is part of that unit, because that's really all we have control over. And unless somebody's hiring me to look at more, I can't look at the entire structure. So but there's always plenty to look at. And
I'm already starting to see the settling too. I'm starting to see the nail heads.
Nail pops. Yeah. And that's pretty common. I wouldn't necessarily attribute that to necessarily poor framework. Nail pops typically happen just as the wood dries out more. They probably use some wet lumber in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lumber's supposed to dry, which I didn't know, right? Before you use it, right?
It is. Yeah, they use a lot of wet lumber. So as it dries, you start to develop those nail pops, start to get some squeaky floors and things like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so I do want to touch, we got a few minutes left here with Bob. I do want to touch about two things real quick. One is your fitness journey, because I think when I first met you, you were a little bit heavier.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw you recently when you came out to do the mosquito that one time. And you were lean, mean fighting machine. You had your bandana on, a tank top. You were letting the guns out, bro.
Yeah,
so,
I hear you, man.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your fitness journey and kind of what inspired you to make those changes that you did?
Yeah, well, I guess I was fortunate enough to be in a lot of pain. I actually have bone-on-bone arthritis in my osteoarthritis in my left knee. So I got to the point where I was walking with a cane. I guess maybe about 12, maybe close to 15 months ago, I was walking with a cane.
Doing home inspections.
Yeah, doing home inspections with a cane.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of impact going on there. So the cane really helped out a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, I saved so much impact on my knee. I was like, at the end of the day, my knee felt great.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I can sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, I love this cane.
Yeah.
This cane is my best friend. Dude, I literally had like 5 canes.
Dang.
I had one in every car. I had one in the house. I mean, yeah, I'm never without my cane.
Yeah.
And we would go to the stores, shopping stores. I began judging retail stores and grocery stores on the quality of their buggies.
Really?
You know, there are electric scooters in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, this place is garbage. Their electric scooters suck. Look how slow this thing is. They only have 2 and one's not charged, you know.
Dang.
Yeah, it's got that point, you know.
Yeah.
Or oh yeah, this is a nice scooter right here. I like this, man. It rides great. Became a scooter connoisseur, you know.
You're hitting that Publix because you know they got good ones.
Exactly.
I don't know if they do or not.
The wife liked it because we could go to at home and she could shop all day, and I was just sitting there. It was a comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah.
But the point was, I couldn't take more than 50 steps before the pain and the inflammation. I'm just out. I can't do it. I got to sit down.
Yeah.
And so, talking to my orthopedist, and he's wanting me to wait till I'm 50 to get knee surgery. I'm like, man, I can't wait that long.
Yeah.
And it's like, is there anything I can do? I already had this big brace on my knee, and he already had me taking 800 milligrams of Advil twice a day.
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
Good Lord.
Yeah, for the inflammation and the pain. So I knew that wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
And I had been doing that for almost 2 years
with
the brace, with the pain meds, and then now I'm on a cane because it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And I looked at, just happened to be washing my leg, and I'm down there and I kind of looked at my calf, and no longer was there a calf muscle. The calf muscle was not round; it was concave, and it looked like a diseased leg. And it really was
degeneration.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, totally. Because I was using that cane.
Yeah.
So I totally quit. I mean, my leg had already degenerated, but now even more so because I'm taking all the weight on that cane.
Yeah.
So it was at that point I was like, man, I got to do something. And I know that my orthopedist said for every 1 pound that you lose of body weight, it's like taking 5 pounds of pressure off of your knee. So, okay, I'm going to lose some weight. I was coming in at about 230.
Dang.
At the time.
Yeah.
And so I immediately started with reducing my portions. I was eating too much at every setting. So I reduced the portion that I was eating to about a third of what I was eating. And I started focusing more on good calories and made sure that whatever I was putting in calorie-wise was, going to be part of that food pyramid, I wasn't going to, I cut out sugars eventually.
Yeah.
And the weight started dropping off. A couple other things happened along the way. I had to take heartburn medicine every single day for terrible heartburn that I always had.
Really?
I haven't taken heartburn medicine since I started.
Yeah.
I was just eating too much at one time. So it's like, packing the system, and you just get this backup. Your system's not processing all this food that you're putting in it at one time, and that's what was causing my heartburn.
Yeah.
Doctors don't even tell you that. They say, here, take this pill.
Yeah.
No.
That's because there's some...
Instead of saying, hey, stop eating so much at one time. So reducing the amount that I was eating, I started eating a little more frequently. Instead of just cramming it in my gut 3 times a day, I'm just eating a little bit, let it process, eat a little bit more.
Yeah.
So the weight started dropping off.
Yeah.
And I got down from 230 pounds to, I hit that 170 mark. And once I hit that 170 mark, I was like, okay, now I look thin.
Yeah.
now I think it's time to start incorporating some kind of resistance training. And so I had done weight training in the past, back whenever I was a 20-year-old strapping young warrior, and it was a different type of training then. I was more about putting on mass, and I was more about a 2 to 3 rep range. So now I wanted something that would allow me to have more endurance. I wanted functional strength. So started working on lighter weights, higher rep, more geared towards my age group, you know what I mean? Works really well for my age group. So I stay 12 to 15 is really nice. 12 sets of 12 to 15, and maybe like five sets. Really just exhaust the muscle that way, and it's allowed me to work without getting tired. And that's what I wanted. I'm not so focused on the physique, although it does come with the territory. But I'm more focused on the lean muscle, because I don't want to put on weight. I wanted to continue to take off weight. So I incorporated that, able to burn some calories doing that, still maintain the diet, got down to about 155.
Dang,
and
that's crazy.
That's where I'm staying right now.
That's where you're at,
that's where I'm at
maintaining
now.
it?
Yeah, maintaining 155. I don't want to go much lower than that, but I certainly don't want to go up anymore either, because the knee feels really good right now. I'm able to go out, do commercial inspections for 10 hours on my feet. And it's a little sore at the end of the day. Trust me. Make no mistake about it. It's sore, but and I know that it's there. However, it's manageable, and I believe that I can make it to 50 or beyond before I have to get the surgery done. And so it's really given me some extended time. But more importantly, man, it's just life-changing stuff. I've changed my diet. I've eliminated the sugar intake, and then one good change just kind of led to another, and then I just started eliminating more bad habits and more bad habits. It was a very transformative year. I call it the positive change reaction. A positive change reaction happens when you start creating positive habits, because the counter can happen too. You can have a negative change reaction where you start one bad habit, and then one bad habit leads to another bad habit, and then to another bad habit, and then you go down the bad habit hole. So that positive change reaction, when you do something positive and you create a positive habit, it becomes much more easy to eliminate other bad habits. And you get on a roll. And that's what I did this past year, a little over a year. Did that, and started exercising another muscle that to me is the most important muscle, and that's discipline. Started exercising discipline. You hear that your whole life. You got to exercise discipline. I never really thought about what that means. Exercise discipline, that means you got to be disciplined. No, exercising discipline is practicing it, telling yourself no when you know that it's the right thing for you. Doing things that you don't want to do when it's the best thing for you. I think that every day you should do something that you really don't want to do. As long as it's good for you. So like for me, that's getting up in the morning about 4:30. That's a golden time for me, and I've never thought I'd be this guy. I never thought I'd be a 4:30 guy ever. All right. But get up at 4:30, between 4:30 and 6:30. Nobody's up. Business isn't rolling yet. I'm not getting texts. I'm not getting emails. I can just really focus on me. I can focus on the mind. I can focus on the body. And it's so important to be able to devote that time to yourself. You have to develop yourself. And so I prepare my body for the work that I have to do, and I prepare my mind for the work that I have to do. And part of that, like I said, is exercising discipline every day. And the thing about discipline is it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it goes away.
You lose it.
And it becomes very difficult for you to be disciplined. But if you work a little bit every day on discipline, your strength and your resolve will grow. And the things that discipline allows me to do has made my life so much better. Really has.
Good to go. I know, like, motivation and discipline are two different things.
Oh,
like you might feel motivated to start being disciplined, but then you have to maintain that discipline long term.
Yeah.
You know, and just like you said, I get up early too to take care of myself before the kids get up, before anybody gets up, before the business gets going. Yep. You know how it is. And so that's my time. I get to focus on myself, and most of the people that are in the gym with me are business owners or high-level managers. Yeah. They're doing the same thing. Yeah. You know, so it's great to be around like-minded people that are up in the morning, you know, getting after it, having that discipline. But your transformational story, you know, impacts me a lot. You know, it motivates me. I know it will motivate the listener as well, and people that get to hear that story, because you made little decisions that led to a big term outcome, but you made those decisions. No one can make them for you. You identified a problem, and you're like, hey, I have to make a change in order to make sure that I'm good to go for X amount of years or for the rest of my life. I don't want to keep degrading, you know, and sometimes it takes that one thing to kind of trigger you, like you see in your calf concave. That was the moment right there. That's a knife to the heart, man. You know, it's like, holy shit.
And you're walking with a cane at 48 years old. Yeah. You feel like you're 68 years old. Yeah. And, you know, fast forward 1 year, I feel like I'm 28 now. So that's a 40-year swing. Yeah. So it's worth it. It's worth the investment. Mm-hmm. To your point, nobody's coming to save us.
Exactly.
Nobody's coming to save you. Yeah. You have to save yourself. Mm-hmm. And motivation, like you said, it's a feeling. Mm-hmm. It comes and goes. Mm-hmm. You can't count on motivation. I know a lot of people that wait on motivation to start something, and they never start. Yeah. You feel motivated, but motivation doesn't get your butt up every morning, and motivation doesn't push you to do that extra rep or set. Motivation doesn't help you push through the pain and literally hurt yourself. Yeah. You know, no, that is dedication, and that is that's that resolve and that discipline. Yep. Doing stuff that we don't want to do, because I'll tell you this, every morning I don't want to wake up.
I was about to say.
I don't want to get up. Everybody, make no mistake about it, I'm not getting up at 4:30 whistling Dixie. Yeah. All right.
You're saying some 4-letter words.
I'm like, am I really doing this again? And I want to sleep, but I know for a fact that it's such a good trade. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people don't want to exercise because it hurts and because it's uncomfortable. Well, life hurts, and life is uncomfortable.
Yep. I mean, you ever see those quotes or sayings where it's like, choose your uncomfortable? You could be uncomfortable now by exercising, or you could be uncomfortable later because you failed to exercise, failed to take care of yourself. Now you're disease-ridden, or you have all these health issues, and it's even worse.
Unbelievable how people don't embrace that. And I mean, I get it. You know, I got into that sedentary lifestyle, and I completely just let it go, you know, and it's comfortable, and I get it. You know, our minds are really good at tricking us into doing what's comfortable. Our brains are looking out for us, you know. Our brain's like, no, you shouldn't do that. You know, you should do this. Eat more. Yeah. Sit more. The drive is there, but I always say, just get in there. Just get in there and do one thing. Even if it's just stretching. Yeah. Start stretching. Get in there and do something. Put on a gym outfit and just go in there. Yeah. And start doing one thing. And then it'll lead to another and another and another. Yeah. I promise you, if you get in there and you just do one thing, one set, then you'll be like, you know what? I'm already here. Let's do another. Exactly. And then some of my best workout sessions started with me going, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to show up. Yeah. I'm just going to show up and do a little bit. Yeah. And then by the end of it, I'm this beast.
You're a warrior, bro.
I'm just
ripping
a
the walls
beast,
down.
Man. Yeah. you go through it and you're like, holy cow, I did not know I had that in me. Yeah. You know, you get in the zone. Yeah. But
like you said, your mind plays major tricks on you, because just this morning I got up, my alarm went off. You know, I'm up and I'm like, my brain's telling me you should probably lay back down. And I was like, maybe I do need more rest.
Yeah.
But then I just went and I executed my routine, and I feel like $1 million after that, you know, because to me, getting the blood pumping in the first thing in the day helps me.
Oh,
you know, it makes the day way different.
Oh, it does. It does. You know, I always say that my cup of coffee is pain.
Yeah.
Nothing wakes you up like pain.
Heck yeah.
You become a glutton for that punishment.
Yeah.
But, you know, not everybody's wired that way, and I get it.
Yep.
But you got to exercise discipline in your life, and you will be better for it.
Yeah.
And I'm living proof of it. Absolutely. And I decided, and I think it's a question that everybody should ask themselves, who do you want to be for the next 20 years of your life? I asked myself that question. Do I want to be what I am for the next 20 years of my life? Started counting up the bad habits. Started doing inventory on how I was as a man, how I was as a father, how I was as a husband.
Yeah.
And taking a real honest look at it, you know, I always considered myself to be a good husband and a good father and a good man with a good heart. But then started thinking, can I be better? Honest question, and the honest answer was, I can be a lot better.
Yeah.
I can be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And so then I started trying to find ways to do that. I think every problem in our life, whether it's relationship, whether it's business, whether it's personal, I think we don't hold ourselves accountable enough. We look at outside forces and reasons. We justify why things aren't working out for us, why the relationship is bad, the other person's fault. So often, she's crazy, he's crazy, it's him, he's got the problem.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes you're part of the problem too.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't like to admit that. But we have an opportunity to make that change each and every day.
Yeah.
And we only have control over us.
Yeah.
We can't control what they do.
Absolutely.
Once you start trying to control what everybody else does, it's not going to go well for you. But you do have control over this, how you think, how you act, and how you perform. And if you change yourself, a lot of times other people see that change in you, and they make the change themselves.
Yeah.
People would rather see a sermon than hear a sermon. I like for people to see me in action, and I think I've affected more people just by showing them rather than by telling them.
Yeah. And I'll say, you know, along those lines, I've kind of done some self-assessments of myself too, you know, and I know we've talked about it before, but, you know, if me and my wife are discussing something, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Or if, you know, I'm working something out with one of my team members, my employees or something like that, at this point I'm trying to like figure out, okay, what can I change in this scenario, whether it's me and my wife discussing something or whatever, and if I can identify one thing that I can change, you know, the next time that situation pops up and I've made my adjustment, the situation is resolved before it's even a situation.
Right.
You know, because I've identified what can I change to improve this in the future?
Yes.
And then everything falls in line after that, because I'm trying my best, and we're all humans, we're not perfect.
That's
but
right.
Trying to hold myself accountable, or trying to make those small habit changes so that I can handle things a little bit differently, which helps the whole situation overall.
It is amazing what you can do when you recognize your own faults rather than ignoring them. Looking within rather than looking outside, and then you can start to deprogram yourself, because we program our minds. Yeah. Whether you realize it or not, we're all programmed. And for example, I started getting into a bad habit of getting ticked off in traffic. I mean,
shoot.
Where we live, we probably have some of the worst drivers that I've ever been around. And I didn't even realize it, but I started getting to the point where just the slightest thing, and I start going off at the mouth, just complaining about it, you know. Yeah. And I became aware of it and realized that it became default programming. And we do that. You have default programming. Sometimes it'll be your reaction to criticism, you know, rather than listening and taking it into consideration. Or sometimes it's with our significant others. When they bring up a point, your automatic default may be to argue back or to snap back rather than to sit and listen. So for me, you know, in traffic, I started doing that, and I started realizing, man, you know, I I've somehow programmed myself to do this.
Yeah.
And so then I started being conscious of it, and I wanted to change it. And so every time something would happen, I'd have that tendency, no, we're going to change this.
Yeah.
And then eventually, what was a little hard to break that habit, you deprogram yourself. And then pretty soon you program your mind. Every time somebody goes in front of you, cut you off or something, you back off. Hey, let me give you some space, brother. Yeah. Obviously you're in a bigger hurry than I am. Let me give you some room. Let me let you travel in peace.
Yeah.
And so be aware of how you're programmed, and understand that you can reprogram your thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great tool. I mean, we're blessed with these vessels, man. These vessels are awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
They can do so much. We got this big brain. We got this functional body. I mean, it's like driving a car off the lot, man. If you take care of it, it's gonna be a fabulous vessel to ride around in for the next 40, 80 years or whatever.
Going back to that preventative maintenance for your house, for your car, for your body, for your health, for your mind, for your relationships, for your business,
Yeah. If you want joy in this life, you can have it. You just have to choose it, and you have to maintain and have perspective. Put your focus on things that are important. If from a business standpoint, if you get into business to make money and be rich, you'll never be happy. Get into business for other reasons that you love, for the sake of building something, for helping others, for giving, providing jobs, make money to give money. There's a point in my life where I wanted material things, and I'd never been more miserable in my entire life.
Yeah, because you can never have enough.
You can never have enough. It is not the way to go.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make money to give money. You can't breathe in without breathing out. And so I'm never more happy than I am when I'm giving.
Yeah.
And so now I want to make more money because I want to give more money.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit selfish because it makes me feel so good, but none of us are perfect.
It's good to go, bro. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up, man. I know you got a home inspection this afternoon.
Yeah, we got a pre-drywall here in about an hour.
Good to go,
man, this is awesome. I mean,
I appreciate you coming out. I know I've been working on you for a couple of years.
Yeah,
finally got it locked in.
We shouldn't have waited so long, and we should definitely do it again.
We could do it again, bro.
With or without the cameras and the microphone, man.
I always enjoy time with you, man.
Yeah,
like that one time you happened to come out. I know Eric might have had he might have taken a day off or something. Giving Eric a hard time.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Eric, we appreciate you, bro. But just chatting with you that day, and I always feel bad because I feel like I'm holding you up because me and you can just go for a while.
We can. I mean, this is a natural thing.
Yeah.
There are certain people that you just vibrate on that same level. We always have, man.
Yeah.
And I certainly consider you one of the few friends that I really have around here.
Appreciate that.
That's why it's just easy. We relate to each other. We kind of are into similar things, and so I mean it's preacher and choir.
Exactly. Well, let me know when you're ready for the guineas. I'll hatch them for you.
I'll
hatch them out of my bloodlines here, and I'll bring them to your place and get you squared away. Seriously, you let me know.
I'm going to take you up on that offer.
And
seriously.
Chickens too, because you guys need free range eggs out there when you get that.
Forget about it, man.
Dude.
I mean, the cost of eggs now.
I mean,
are you kidding me?
There's literally nothing better than an egg that came from your property.
Yeah.
Where the chicken is eating the bugs and the forage off of your property. That egg just tastes better.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure. I grew up on a farm, actually.
Oh, 100-acre
really? Farm. We had 50 chickens in the chicken coop. And,
good to go.
Yeah, so that's a story for another podcast,
exactly.
Man. Bob on the farm. Farmer Bob.
Well, hey, how can people get in touch with you and your businesses?
You can always go to the websites. We have CarolinaPremierInspections.com, Carolina Premier Pest Control.com. We've got a lot of things on those websites where you can see what we do, how we do it. We've got ways to contact us through the websites. We've got ways to schedule appointments through the websites. But I always say you want to talk to the guy that you're doing business with. So feel free to reach out, give me a call. my cell phone number, 843-801-3082. And you can talk to me personally. I'm always happy to discuss. And I don't even know if you've got the new cell phone number. I actually had to. The old cell phone number became the office number because it just rang too much, and I couldn't. I couldn't even get any work done.
I did the same thing, dude. I had to because if you have to be able to operate, but you also have to be able to talk to people. So it's got to be balanced somehow.
It's a balancing act, but love what I do. Love where we live.
Yep.
Love the people that I get to work with, and like you, I appreciate you having me out here, man. It's been a blast out here on the property.
Yeah.
Out in the lower 40 here.
Yep.
I mean,
in the swamp, bro.
Just amazing. I want to grow up to be like you.
Hey, you're getting that land soon, man. You good to go.
That's right.
Real quick, the podcast is sponsored by Canine Revolution Dog Training. So, Bob, if you're out there and you run into some dogs, in the home inspections, I'm sure you've had some situations.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you're my go-to recommendation for that.
Appreciate
100%. I've seen the facility, and I've seen your employees, and I've seen how you guys operate here. I don't recommend businesses that I don't know about. And I've never seen a better setup here when it comes to canine training. So
well, I'm just like you. You know how we are about the quality.
Absolutely.
The training of the team is essential, and if someone can't meet that standard, then maybe they're not cut out for the team. But of course, you take the time and the ownership to try and train them the best you can. But then sometimes people just don't work out, as you know, because we've talked about that before too. But I mean, running a business is not an easy thing.
It isn't.
But if you can train up your team and build them properly, then you all have the mission in mind, and you're all a team player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So. A lot of times we just don't realize the impact we have on each other and others. But I can tell you that you've inspired me. You've inspired me a lot with what you've done here with your organization, the house, the land, all of it. I mean, like I said, when I say I want to grow up to be like you, I'm not lying, man. You have inspired me to, step out of my comfort zone and to continue to grow my businesses. So, they say iron sharpens iron, man, and those words ring true.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And I think me and you are both lucky too to be able to be in business with our families.
Blessed.
Even though we're the business owners, we're both working with our brothers and having that extra bond. It doesn't work out for everybody, but I think with the mentality of like taking the ownership or trying to, look at yourself more than blaming other people. I think that's how you can work those things out. You know what I'm saying?
100%, man.
But one other quick thing is if you guys want to support the podcast, the listener, you guys can go to Amazon and the link below. You can grab a Good to Go shirt, which is a Canine Revolution shirt. You'll be good to go. And then also these drinks, Bob.
These are good.
Checking out the Jocko.
These are good.
These are for you to take home right
man,
there.
I'm taking
those home.
for sure, yeah.
And if Ben has any, did you drink the other two?
Yeah, the mango is really good, man.
Yeah, so these are Jocko Go's. They're clean energy. We were talking earlier about diet and health, and I did a podcast about diet and health where I described how I found these. And we were talking about before, but I don't like artificial sweeteners. I don't like refined sugars and processed foods, and these are sweetened by monk fruit. They're clean energy. I like them. I know you're on the mango train.
And I mean, I'm not here all jittery and
that's important.
Freaking out, I'm not having a panic attack over here.
And the energy drinks you get at the gas station, they're bad for you because they got like too much caffeine. We're talking about 400 milligrams caffeine in a can. That's you're not supposed to have that much caffeine,
Yeah, right.
These got like 90 milligrams. It's like a cup of coffee, basically.
It's perfect. So I'm a fan. I'm already an early fan of these. So
good to go,
thanks for turning me on to these.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, if any listener wants to try them out, you can go to jockofuel.com. You can go to originusa.com. Use the code SINGER101 for 10% off. And the other thing is, I'm big on supporting America, and these are made in America, sourced in America.
Nice.
Everything Jocko Fuel, Origin USA is doing that, and I'm a big supporter of trying to bring things back to America. I'm trying to get dog supplies made in America, made in the low country. I'm working with some guys trying to get that going, so that's important to me.
Fantastic,
right now,
important to me as well.
100%.
So I support it as well.
Good to go, bro. But you got any closing thoughts?
No, I think I've given my closing thoughts. I think I gave you like 8 of my closing thoughts. So
Good to go, bro.
I'll leave it with this. I want to do it again.
Let's do it.
And we'll
maybe we can have Eric come by.
We'll always have something to talk about.
We'll have the brothers going at it. I know Eric's got some crazy stories too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if you get me and him together, we can go back to childhood, and we can have the whole Bug Brothers Chronicles.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll have you and Eric, me and Ben, swapping some stories and stuff. So that could be a full day right there. We'll have to cut a literal 8-hour block out.
Some time for the siblings podcast.
Good to go, man. Well, thank you again, Bob, and thank you for all you've done for us. And to the listeners, seriously, I know Bob's saying, hey, make sure you're asking your home inspector questions. Just have Bob come out and do it, because the way he does it, he's so meticulous. He is going to find anything that needs to be found. Then the pest control side, same thing. They're going to make sure that it's set up for you specifically. And if things change, like if you decide to get chickens, they're going to adjust the plan so that the chickens are not impacted. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
Anyway, thanks, Bob. Thanks for coming out.
Anytime, man. Thank you.
And for the listener, this is Pack Talk Podcast. And until next time, out.